You are now listening to the hottest true crime podcast in the streets.
Hello and welcome to another episode of Affirmative Murder, the equal opportunity true crime comedy podcast. I am Alvin Williams, joined as always by my partner in true crime, Francel Evans.
Oh yes, wait a minute, Mr. Postman.
Yeah, man, I'm the mailman. Can't you tell, man? Gon' post to it.
What up?
Folks, this week, this episode is a little bit different, as a lot of people know, but we have some new listeners that have joined us recently, but as a lot of people that have been around for a bit know, every once in a while we do some town halls where we kind of reach out to the community that we've been building and been a part of and, cultivating and hear from them based on different topics and kind of learn their experience and kind of give over our platform to other people to give a chance to speak about things that are affecting them. And this episode is about the LGBT experience and what allyship looks like to those people, not to like a person who calls themselves an ally, but to the people who need that stuff from those people and what it looks like for them, what you can do for them. And I'm really excited to take some calls from some listeners and shut the fuck up and let them tell us about their experiences. So in a way, I hope not, but I wouldn't be surprised if this is a little true crime adjacent, because this is a community that experiences a lot of violence and hate. And so some people might have some stories and some experiences that might be a little triggering to people. So
yeah. Also, I think this is, when we do this town hall, I think it's a very therapeutic type of environment where a lot of people don't get a chance to get the stuff and get that off their chest, where they can come here and do that with us and kind of spread the awareness for other people too that have that been in a situation, didn't know how to react, or may need some type of advice and stuff like that. So this is why I really like doing it.
Yeah.
So it opens our eyes where we can be like, oh, we learned something new that we never knew, or we just ignored it because of whatever reasons or how we
doesn't affect me,
right? Because of how we grew up.
Yeah.
But I love doing this, man.
Yeah, it's a great opportunity for education. I love doing these so much. I'm looking to do more in the future for sure. It's just sometimes the topic, not sometimes, every time we've done one of these, this will be the third one, the topic has always come to us. Yeah. It's never been calculated. It's just been like what's happening in the media, something that's happening adjacent to somebody personal that we know, and that's the case for this. And this week in this town hall, I'm really excited to be doing a phone call with a good friend of mine, Les, to talk about an experience that we had while we were on a trip together. And that's kind of the impetus of this whole idea for this episode, is that I felt like I failed my friend. As I don't categorize myself as an ally per se, because I think there's a lot of work to be done before I could walk around and thinking I could teach people or something like that. But I think that I stand up for the downtrodden and people who need help in life. I consider myself a person that does that, but I think there's a lot of education for me to do, and this was an opportunity for me to do that in this episode, and also in the experience that I had with my friend. It was a real learning opportunity, and we had that, and we had a good conversation when it happened, and I wanted to kind of recreate that conversation with him, with you on the phone as well. So I'm really excited about that. And very
important.
Yeah, it's very important.
A learning situation.
Here's the thing, and I'll say this, and then we'll get into the phone call. Is that conversation has been kind of messed up by social media these days, where the idea about a conversation is like you need to come into a conversation fully equipped with every bullet point of knowledge that you need to make your point and convince the other person that they're wrong or that you need to win.
Yeah.
Whereas a conversation is meant to enlighten people. Yeah. So you can come into a conversation and have that conversation and not really know what you're talking about. And if you're coming from a place of wanting to learn and not a place of arrogance, your lack of knowledge won't be used against you. Yeah. It will only help you become a more enlightened person if you come into a conversation ready to leave with new information, as opposed to trying to get your information off and over talk people. Yeah. That's the point of a conversation. So this idea that you shouldn't have a conversation with somebody unless you know everything you're talking about, that's not how I operate. I don't know shit about anything. I know a little bit about a lot of stuff. And the stuff that I don't know, I like to have conversations with the people, and then I know a little bit more after the conversation. So this week is no different. I'm very excited to give my friend Les a call and for us to have this conversation. Again, this is a little bit different. So if you're not looking to hear this conversation, I respect it. Feel free to check out, and then you guys can hear some true crime stuff next week. But let's get into it. Joining us for our town hall tonight is our multi-hyphenated friend, singer, dancer, a musician, puto. Our good friend Les Green is joining us to have a conversation about some stuff that we experienced while we were overseas. Les, welcome. Hello. Thank you for joining us, finding the time. I know you're wherever you are in the world, and thank you.
Yeah, very busy. Very, very busy.
Well, first of all, how are you? Please, we will save all plugs for the end, so I don't need you to mention why you're where you're at. You can mention those things later. But you are where?
Oh, you mean Brazil? Oh, in Brazil? You mean while I'm in Brazil? Rio de Janeiro, Brazil?
Yes, that is why. Yes.
Here. Just in Rio de Janeiro, Brazil. We're an hour ahead of you, so I had to move some things around.
Yes, thank you so much for clearing your busy schedule to take some time to talk to a friend. I'm very thankful for that.
Rio.
In Rio, yes, in Rio de Janeiro, Brazil. So Les, I think I alluded to a little bit, but let me go ahead and fill you in what the purpose of what this is that we're doing today on this episode. Me and you went, and a group of friends went to Europe, and private jet, a 5-star hotel, Michelin star restaurants.
The PJ.
Yes, just normal, casual lifestyle. And you had an incident that wasn't handled well by the group, and it led to an interesting conversation, and that inspired me to want to reach out to other queer folks and hear their perspectives about growing up, coming out, the hurdles in life, what allyship looks like to them. I wanted to kind of use the framework of our conversation to hear other people's perspectives that weren't this new perspective that I got that night, because admittedly, I don't know if I wouldn't categorize myself as an ally, but you're one of my best friends and you happen to be a queer person, and that is not necessarily allyship because me and me go get brunch, So I would like to take this episode to hear from people about like what does that look like to be there for somebody, and whether it's emotionally or whatever it is that person may need. I'd like to hear from them what that is, because I feel like a lot of people are walking around with like pendants on their chest saying that they are something when they aren't asking the people that are from those communities if you are doing the work really, or if you just think you're doing the work because you are doing things that make you feel good about something.
Yeah,
if that makes sense.
And that is actually I'm glad you brought that up, because that's a big thing about allyship. There's a lot of popular words that go around, and you see it on social media, and then you attach to it, and you're like, "Oh, cool! That we're doing that this month."
Yes,
and that comes with people saying, allies, and in that it's a lot bigger than, "Oh, I don't have a problem with you."
Yes, exactly.
Like that,
I'm not trying to kill you. I'm not trying to harm you. Yeah.
Allyship, it's standing up to your family. It's at Thanksgiving when, somebody says faggot in jest and, thinks that it's okay.
In the uncomfortable moments, being an ally is being an ally.
It's uncomfortable. Yeah. It's not just, you get to kiki with us, and I taught you this Vogue move. Like, you're fun. You're not uncomfortable with me, so you're my friend, and that means you're an ally. No. There's a lot more that comes with it, and, like, I've recently just started calling people out that that use that freely, because allyship in any way, shape, or form is hard, because even when it's like white people to the black and brown community, it's the ones that are standing up at at Thanksgiving. I keep using that as an example because I have some friends that be like, "Yeah, I just pretty much blocked my whole family." Like, you're kind of you're at the cause a little more than I am, and I'm in it. So
I've eliminated my entire family.
But that's the type of shit that's inspiring, because it's like
we
live every day in this skin. We live every day in this skin. So our daily struggle is ours. So who wants to be fighting every day? We got to find time to relax and try to be human.
Go to Rio de Janeiro,
and we can't be fighting this fight every damn. We got to go to Rio and come back with the BBLs.
If you get a BBL, listen. If that is why you went to Brazil,
that's crazy.
if you come back with a fat dumpy,
if you imagine,
come back with a fat dumpy.
If I come back sitting on a donkey, sitting on a bubble, I come back sitting on a bubble. That would be iconic. But no. When it comes down to it, well, you said this earlier, just like being in the experience of being queer and figuring stuff out. It's a daily struggle, and it's a lot of unlearning stuff and relearning stuff, and sometimes being Black and queer, it's just a fucking lot to deal with in general. So you don't have time to be thinking about learning and unlearning stuff, and that's another reason why, like, people of color that are queer or gay or lesbian, they get their own little sub judgment. Sometimes the corporate LGBT world will come down on the Black or brown queers because they're not using this, they're not thinking about pronouns, they're not doing this, they're not doing that. I'll tell you this: when my Black ass was figuring myself out, I'm telling you, I've been done that non-binary when I was like when I was like 5, 6, 7. I never felt one thing. I felt everything. I didn't know how to explain any of those things. I knew I was very feminine, but I also knew I had masculine traits, and I loved all the sides of me when I was a kid. I knew who I was when I was a kid. Yeah. And then I lost it because of what I was taught. Because of my surroundings.
I did want to, I don't mean to cut you off.
And so now, yeah, go ahead.
No, first of all, I just want to say it's an honor. I didn't get a chance to say hi to you. I'm just waking up and I'm just getting here, so I'm trying to get myself together.
Oh, congratulations!
Oh, thank you, man.
Thank you. Order.
Yep. But I did want to ask. I am curious. I don't get a chance to hang with you much or talk to you much, so I did want to ask. What the level of stresses you have to deal with on a daily basis, like as far as like when you get up and you got to walk out the house, because I know for just a Black man, the stresses we have to deal with just being Black in America, but what other additional stuff you have to deal with being Black and being gay?
Ooh, good one. I just got goosebumps. So most recently, I was talking to a friend on the phone, and we were talking just past experiences, queer shit. And I was on the train coming from Miami to Fort Lauderdale, and I have luckily never been involved in queer bashing or something motivated like that. I've gotten jumped in, I've had people steal my shit in Baltimore, obviously, but that's different. That wasn't, I don't think, that's a whole different story. That wasn't it wasn't about, it was, yeah, it wasn't,
That's another day in Baltimore.
Yeah, that's just run of the mill.
Yeah, just a Baltimore thing. It's the Baltimore bingo. Yeah. It's just something that was picked off the list. But no, the other day I was on the train and I was talking. I guess my earphones were in, and I'm very vigilant when it comes to this stuff. Growing up in Baltimore in general, I would dress a certain way to get on the bus, and then change into my Abercrombie clothes when I got to the mall, when I used to live there.
Because Abercrombie clothes in an inner city Black community are gay. Flip-flops.
Flip-flops. Flip-flops are gay.
Having your toes out.
Yeah. What you got on your feet, bro?
Yeah, so that's crazy.
I don't fly.
Especially knowing that now you wear a blazer with shoulder pads in it. So your journey, I just have been so proud of you. I've been so proud of your journey, but continue. We'll talk more about your journey, but continue. Yeah, so you would change, so continue with answering Frank's question.
Yeah, so this guy kept looking back while I was on the phone, and I thought I was talking pretty quietly, and neither did I think I needed to censor my conversation or anything, but he kept looking back with this Black dude. So it's tough sometimes being Black and queer, because you also got to look out for your own people. Mm-hmm. Because we're the ones that's taught this huge homophobia, or we're dealing with homophobia in our own ways, and it's most of the time comes out in violence. Yeah. So he kept looking back with this angry look on his face, and I'd lowered my volume, and you can hear him muttering stuff under his breath.
Yeah.
Definitely heard a few F-bombs in there, and I'm like, oh, I might be in danger. Yeah. Or I might have to fight, or something's about to happen here. So I got up, because I was on the phone with my friend, and he was like, just go downstairs or go to the other part of the train or something like that. So I went down and just was near the lady, and he was tell somebody like what's going on. I was like, it's not that serious. But it was like, just humor me and just like let somebody know what's going on.
Yeah.
If he's like, but then he got in my head because he's been through stuff like this. He's like, if he follows you off the train. And yes, I was thinking about that, but I also am thinking like I can handle myself. Yes. But also there was a little bit of fear in there because it's nothing like that's ever happened to me. And my friend like put it in a different way that I never thought about. But yeah, that's one of the things I got to go through is how am I dressing? Am I going with a group of friends? Like that's when my style can be 100% myself. If I know I'm getting in an Uber to go somewhere, I'll dress how I want to dress.
Yeah.
If I know I have to walk or do a lot of things, I might not wear, white platform shoes and my crop top or this, that, or the third.
Yeah.
I might go with her. And that's one thing where I applaud the younger kids these days, or not even the younger kids, because there's people being themselves throughout the decades.
Right.
Just
always.
Unabashedly, just being their queer self.
But it comes along with the things you're talking about. And they just
they're like,
that.
I don't care.
Yeah.
I don't care. And then those are the people that are the most strong. Trans people are the epitome of strength because they're living their truth no matter what. They like lose their houses. They get kicked out of their homes just to be themselves. They're being passed over for jobs. And if they do get a job, they have to deal with what comes along with that. Just random people judging them and having to explain or come out or explain, and just the stupid random questions. And that's why it's like I've sort of turned this leap into not educating anybody.
Yeah.
Unless they're really close to me. And it's like, ask Google before you ask me type of stuff, because it's like, it's not my job. Yeah. I'm still learning.
You have a life to live.
And on top of it, my experience is different than other people, so I can't go here and tell you.
Speak blanket.
Oh, I don't care if you say this to me, and then you go say it to somebody else, and then they knock your teeth out. That's on that's on you for for believing one person. But no, my experience is different than the next queer person's, but mine is more of a way of a I guess fearful one, and I stopped beating myself up about it. About the the precautions I take when, like, in my day to day for survival. I used to beat myself up about it, just be yourself, like, screw everybody. But I was just like, no, this is where I'm at with my journey. I'm still getting over internalized homophobia. I'm still getting over, the way I see sex and sexuality and myself. And the one thing I've learned from all of this is to, like, just take a step back and stop. And just be kind to yourself, I guess, in the main part, because I'm going through the same stuff people that don't know me are going through when they're judging me. So it's like, it's such a deep, deep conversation. We can go on for hours about it, but it's an everyday thing. And just add being black to that. So then I'm like, okay, this is me just trying to protect myself from the world as a whole. Because one, I can't hide. Right. I'm black. Yeah. That one's not being hidden. So that goes with the same thing where I used to dress a certain way if I'm in a white neighborhood.
Yeah.
My family lives in a nicer neighborhood in Baltimore, and I've gotten a gun pulled out on me being at the house that I lived in a nice neighborhood.
Yeah.
And so I have to think about how black am I dressing? How acceptable in any.
Think about that. Think about that. That's even like a category. You know what I mean? Like, clothes are clothes.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? With the idea that, like,
I know that's not a thing. I know that's not a thing, but
it is. It's not, but it is. That's the crazy part of it.
You can't say that dressing black isn't a thing. I know it's not a thing,
but it is.
But to humor and to be quick with it, I'm not playing these semantics.
Exactly, because you know what I mean.
That clothes are clothes.
Yeah.
Dressing gay isn't a thing. Dressing black isn't a thing.
But it is. It isn't, but it is.
So
yeah,
to keep my ass alive. And so I feel like when I moved to Key West and I've just always had quirky style in general, but adopting this.
He used to wear colored contacts.
Okay, let's keep digging out this self-hate, okay? Let's just pull up all my traumas, okay?
No, you were wearing like yellow eyes. You weren't wearing like blue. You weren't trying to. You were wearing like fucking cat eyes. You weren't trying to be like, oh, I'm half French. You know, you were like wearing cat eyes, hypnosis eyes.
Yeah, my self-hate and my emo phase like both blended together. It was a mixture of both. I'm an adult now, and I can say a little of it did come from a place of, you know, that whole area.
Yeah.
But no, yeah, I'm very out there, and I've always been, and it's been poking its head out throughout my whole life, and like finally I'm at a space where it's like, okay, it's me. Like I can dress however the hell I want, and some days, you know, it's one thing, and it's very calm, but the other days it's heels and a crop top or whatever the hell I'm feeling that day.
No.
But I sort of adopted this 50s style because it fits with my band and stuff like that, but it's very just across the board acceptable.
Yeah.
And it's just very classic, and I love it. But it also is the easiest thing for me to get around with and be safe, like
it's just stylish, unique, and timeless, and not like putting you in any specific category as far as like your gender representation. It's just like it's just cool.
A shirt tucked in with my pants on my actual waist, like, and with some Converses on, is literally what I'm in right now, and just the easiest thing that I can just navigate through this world without having to think I need to watch my back immediately.
Yeah.
For anything. I know I can walk into a white space and just be treated semi-normal.
Or a black barbershop, and they'd be like, "Oh, this dude must be like a rapper or an R&B singer."
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. So that's another thing. It's like navigating. When I go to the barbershop, I'm like, I just don't talk a lot. I come in, ask for what I'm getting, so I can get the hell out, and that's it. I just listen to the conversations that are going on around me to gauge what, if I can talk, if I am comfortable with being here.
Yeah.
You know, I found this place in LA. I usually find one place, and wherever I go, I stick to it. But yeah, navigating life as a queer person, everything is a plan.
Yeah.
So in my black life, everything is a plan, but also being black and queer. And so when I get hate from people, I'm just like, okay, have a sit back, and literally this is the thing I want you to think about. I'm already black, and you're berating me for my queerness. Think about it. If this was a choice, who would wake up and be like, you already have one thing. Something's going. You already have this going on. So now I want to add some more because I don't think I'm being hated enough. So let me just go ahead and choose. No. And to piggyback on what I was saying earlier about the black community sort of getting, the black queer community sort of getting like not a bad rap, but just like,
you aren't.
The difference between corporate LGBTQ plus,
I get what you're
and
saying.
then there's a difference between the real thing, the nitty gritty.
You grew up in the real world where the consequences are harder for you being your most out and representative self. So if you come across some person who, not to diminish somebody else's struggle, but when you use the word corporate gay, I like that for this conversation. It's like, you might have had more opportunities and accepting parents and went to a school that was like a liberal arts school. And and you're like, well, why wouldn't you wear the clothes you like? Somebody might hear this and go, why wouldn't you just wear the clothes that you want to wear? It's like, well, because I don't want to get jumped on the bus.
Yeah.
And because wearing the clothes I want to wear is quite literally the difference between life and death. So, because that in my neighborhood, no one's using their thought and being like, no, it's not that.
Lester just expressing himself. Oh yeah, he's unique. That's not happening in these neighborhoods that we come from, In one way, critical thinking and all that stuff,
Yeah, exactly. Some people might see it as strong, just doing whatever you want. And I know it. You can be criticized for even choosing the route of, I'm going to make it through. Because me, I guess some people might criticize the way I handled my shit because I'm in a Black Caribbean family in where were we? In Baltimore.
Yes.
So I knew who I was for the most part, and I just decided I'm just not going to talk to anyone in my family about anything personal until I'm out of this house. Because I'm not getting ripped. I started doing research young. I started watching like queer shows and stuff in secrecy, and all of the outcomes of all the queer films and all the queer anything that I would watch. They either die, they get gay bashed and die, they get AIDS and die. So I had no positive reinforcement on being queer. So that didn't help me be queer. It's like, oh, I'm going to die living this lifestyle.
Yeah.
No matter what. So that now I sort of like accidentally unpacked something, because that I guess explains my relationship with sex. Like I'm not a very out there having sex a lot. I'm not a grinder gay. I'm like, and no, it's nothing against anyone who is. I think was just scared into this box that I'm in now because everything I've learned was just, you're going to die one way or another being gay. So that's that. And so then, and with the same thing with being black, it's always black trauma porn, as they say. So my existence has just been put in these boxes. And then when you see yourself on TV, you're funny. And that's why I think it's very easy for black people to go into a comedic role, because it's like, that's what we see. If we entertain these people that we're around. And then now I look at myself and I look at the circles I'm in, and I'm like, oh, you're funny you're funny.
Yeah.
And you're funny in these groups. And when you're serious, these groups sort of, well, what are you doing? You're not allowed to do. So
you're not
that
being,
made me
being a clown for
friend
us.
groups I'm in.
Yeah, you're not being a clown for us.
It made me rethink friend groups I'm in. So now, obviously, I know some friends see that they don't see me a lot, and they can take it however they want. That's not for me to unpack. Yeah. You don't see me. If anybody hasn't seen me, then they would reach out, and we'd continue from there. But I just separate myself these days and just see who notices. And honestly, it's a more peaceful life, because I'm not anybody's gay clown. I'm not anybody's token black guy. I am gonna be in whatever circles I'm in.
Yes,
that takes the serious side of me, the funny side of me, the the bitchy side of me. Those are the circles I need to be in. Yeah. So it's a juggling act, and I'm not a clown, so I'm not doing it.
Oh, that's a bar. Because I feel like it's just as a general message to anybody out there. It's like, if you're in a friend's circle and you feel like you have to hide some part of you in order to fit in, then you should not be a part of that friendship group. If you are in a friendship group and it's like you're there to be like, oh, cunty, honey, bitch, and they talk to you like that, and then it's the moment you go, well, I got a phone call from my dad, and then go, it's like, oh, bitch, do you want to get mimosas? It's like, no.
Tell that bitch he needs to the brakes on that.
So, oh my God, wow, you are not a good friend. No, it's not. It's very much no. You're not a good friend. Those are some fucking deep points you just made. But let's get to Switzerland. We are in Switzerland. We go out for the night. We're at a club. Everybody in Switzerland listens to like techno music. It was like I don't know who found the place. Did I find the place? I don't want to take responsibility for who found the place.
Yeah, I don't think you want that on you.
Somebody Googled a place to go to, and we went out and we went to this place, and it was like a 3-level party. Like in the basement, it was like scenes from The Matrix, where everybody didn't have shirts on. They're like dancing in caves. Yeah, and then like the more up you go, it gets a little. The more up you go, it gets a little swankier. Like it gets a more like bar. But the basement was. Like a basement, it was foggy. I feel like there was a lot of tank tops that were mesh. I might be making this up in my mind. It felt very Matrix to me.
Yeah, you have a very playful imagination. I just think it was a 3-level club.
Got different things, people in cages. There's tigers on the second level.
There was cages. There was a tiger that came out and they had it.
It's like none of that happened. Where did you get this from?
There was a photo booth on the second floor. I guess that happens in a lot of places, but like
you guys, my friend, it's been a pandemic. He's been in the house for a while. I don't think he hasn't been out.
Well, either way, we're on the 3rd floor, and there's like this bar type of thing, and we're all there. We're dancing, we're meeting people or whatever. And let's take it away because I don't know the full like start to finish. I just know where I come into play at. So we're at this place.
There was a lot going on. Too much for that bar to be having going on. And I don't think I was as drunk as a lass would be on a random night. Especially for
that place. So you were super like aware.
I was more aware.
Yeah.
I was drinking and whatnot, but it wasn't, I don't know. I guess my body wasn't taken to it. Because I guess it needed to be aware or some shit because for some reason I was there. I was mentally there. And so there's two things that happened. And I think the one thing sort of sobered me up a little bit more anyway. But there was some dude on the dance floor and he saw me earlier. And this is the thing, because then I have to go into queer world and straight world. That is one thing that, queer folk have for them is that we're very sexual, and that's like a part of the queerdom because it's like we get to be open with our sexuality because it's something that's been demonized and all this stuff.
Liberation.
So, the liberation is sort of just free and everything, and that's a part of the gay community a lot more. And so meeting someone and just making out with them is not that weird. So, but that happened. I made out with this guy, and I was like, "Oh, okay, cool, good to meet you." Blah blah blah, whatever. And I told y'all about it. I was like, "This random guy just came up to me and started making out with me, whatever." And but that was it. And I was like, "All right, cool."
And us as his friends, as the three of us are straight, and Les comes up to us and tells us that our brain goes to just like primarily fratty dude energy of like, yeah, get it. Like that's the response. We're out with the dudes. You're getting some action. Yeah, nice.
Some type of praise is like
exactly right.
Yeah.
But I don't know if but the energy that he might come into me is like that was random, as opposed to me being like random nice. You're gonna get some random on your hang low. Like that's where my brain is going. Right?
Because that's how it would be like in a group of straight guys.
Yeah, group of straight guys. Yeah. I'm just telling you my state of mind. Continue.
So I don't know if what I witnessed with the girl was before or after this. But it added definitely everything that was happening added to the night.
Mm-hmm.
The guy saw me again because I remember him saying like, "Yeah, I have a boyfriend" or something like that, but he's somewhere in here and I lost him. I was like, "Okay, cool. Well, keep to yourself. I'm not trying to fight your boyfriend because if somebody come up to me, I'm beating their ass." And he started dancing on me again, and he was like reaching to make out with me. I kissed him again, and here is where it gets into the why I understand. I've always had an understanding with women. I've just always understood the female experience when it comes to certain things because I paid close attention to my mom. My mom's been my best friend since I was a kid, and I just like would watch her and just watch her strength and see all the shit that she had to go through in life. And my sister, like, never been one of those guys who's like, ew, period, like, grow the fuck up. Like, I would say stuff like that when I was a kid, when my brothers used to be like, oh, April's in her period. I'm like, I'd be like 6 being like, how old are y'all? Like,
grow
I'm
up.
a child and I know this is a natural and grow up. Like, but it was a moment where I wasn't being understood because I wasn't a female.
Yeah.
And I'm not a straight man, so it wasn't the other way that I could have possibly been understood. Which I also have had conversations with straight friends where they've gone through some of the similar things that female and gay men have gone through, but they don't talk about it because they have straight friend groups and they don't have an outlet to talk about it. So they either choose. So they had me, a queer friend, where they're like, oh, I can talk to you about this and it's not weird.
Yeah.
So who do straight men without queer friends talk to about experiences they've had where they might not have wanted to do something and they did it anyway?
Yeah.
So that's just something to think about. But then, the guy's like aggressively trying to dance with me and trying to kiss me, and I like doing the little worm and getting out of it and like, haha, okay, have a good night type of stuff. And he's still there. And I'm like, I see all of y'all, and y'all are dancing around me. And I'm like, okay, well, have a good one. And he keeps doing it. And then at some point, I like got away from him, and I was just like, all right, well, that was aggressive.
Yeah.
I was like, thanks for the assist, guys. Something to that effect. And y'all were like, what? It looks like you were having a good time.
Yes.
And I was like, yeah, because I wasn't trying to hit him.
Yes.
That's where it was going to go. For me, it's either be aggressive and make a scene, or try to be calm and just like, hopefully he gets the hint, which is where I feel like a lot of females get this problem too. It's like how I'm trying to calmly say no thank you, but you're being aggressive. So then once I go over that line and I'm like, leave me the hell alone, or I do something like this, it becomes a thing.
And it's a thing on you. You're the spotlight. You're the one causing the scene. Yeah. Exactly.
And I've gone through many situations where I've gone through with, sexual acts because I've been younger and I've gone through stuff and where I've like gone through stuff where I didn't really want to do it, and I didn't want to say no, and I didn't want to do this, and I didn't want to do that.
Yeah.
And I think of those times and I think like, oh, I want to be stronger than that. I don't want to ever do that again. I'm grown. I'm in this different mindset as an adult now, and I don't want to make the same mistakes. And so I don't want to be confrontational, but I have to stand up for myself,
Exactly.
And in that moment, I was like, I didn't know how to navigate, because my natural instinct is to just click on my Baltimore reaction and just start fighting. So, but then I'm in the middle of Switzerland, and that's the last. And then I'm thinking, okay, you're going to be this black guy that just started a fight in the middle of Switzerland. Like, come on.
And that was for me, because before it was the two friends kind of being like, oh, well, you were dancing with them, da 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 da.
Yeah, you liked it. You wanted to dance with them.
In which they would, and then let me just, because love these guys, and they would be the first people to stand up against homophobia, racism, anything that their brain knows and functions as this is wrong. This was nuanced though. These are people, they would never do this to a female friend, a lady friend of theirs at a club where they went, this guy just groped me. They went, oh, you wanted it. Like, they would never do that. But because this was a nuanced situation, we went into, again, that like ape primal brain dude thing of like, hey man, you were looking for some action, right? But before we got to that, he kind of, you came up to me first kind of on the side, and I went fucking Suge Knight, and I'm like, yo, if you want something done about it.
Yo, where is he? Where is he? Which isn't the response I wanted either.
I was like, just say the word. I'm like not the most fucking passive person in the world, but this is my friend. And this is my friend, and he's my friend, and he's my guy friend, and we're with guys. So I'm like, are we fight? Like, is that what the solution is, right? But if I was out with a lady friend of mine, there would have been 5 other solutions before it got to violence, right? It would have been like, well, let me dance with you, or let me put my arm around you, or let me just come and just be around me, and he'll get the signal. But none of those things came to my mind because for one, for people who don't know, Les is in. You're not the best shape right now. I haven't seen you in a while, but you're getting a little soft. But he's 6 foot tall. He is, all jokes aside, he's in great. All jokes aside, he's in great shape, and he knows how to pop off. So I'm never thinking of my friend Les as needing protection or being in distress. But in that situation in Switzerland, I'm not thinking of all of these things that are attributes for him are detriments to him in certain situations. Because you don't want to be King Kong black dude in the club where it's me and him are the only 2 black people in this place, and you start beating up a middle-aged white Swedish man, Swiss man. It's not the police
who just thinks I'm his Mandingo property.
Yes, let me just use him for my sexual thrills. The police aren't going to want to hear the intricacies of this lovers quarrel. They're just going to go, you punched this guy, black man? Because clearly we don't want to hear that you're saying you felt unsafe or whatever, because this dude's eyes blacked. You won the exchange. It was no question Les would have won whatever exchange happened, right? But you lose to society in that moment where it's like, oh my God, this guy, he's a monster. And you don't. So you're juggling that and then trying to diffuse by pecking him a little bit or dancing a little bit. You're diffusing because you don't want to go to you could easily wipe the floor with this guy, but that's that's not good. That's not a solution to this.
And then that brings on the thing of people being like, well, you were, because then I always play what I hear the most. I always play the blaming in my head.
Yeah.
I always play, well, you were dancing with him. Yeah. Well, you kissed him back. Well, you did this. But what about you pushed him away and said, all right, have a good night. You said this. So what about the things that he should have taken as clear no's, including me saying, all right, that's enough. Have a good night.
Yeah.
Like, so you dance with that. And then when you go to your friends, and it's still new for me handling that because old Les would have probably just went along with everything and just laughed the whole time. And they're like, okay, I guess this is what's happening because this person wants it.
Yeah.
Like, I've fully done things like that before in the past. And just having that moment where I was like, no, all right, today's the day. You're going to say no to this person. And I went over to my friends and like to hear their initial reaction, especially the guys, the other two. It was like you clearly looked like you were enjoying yourself. I was like, okay, well, that's the end of that conversation. I was like, I'm not about to do that. And then also me not trying to somber everyone else's night. Yeah. So I'm not going to be like, well, I don't feel like y'all were there for me in this situation, which again,
but that's your truth and you have every right.
You're working in real time and you're like trying to process this in real time and you don't want to bring the mood down, but you want to speak up for yourself and you want to let your friends know that you're upset, but you don't want to bring the mood down. So I'm trying to be like, is this the right time? Is this the right place? But then I know I ate it and then it just went away in my head.
And he left. Yeah. He left.
I feel like a lot of men would react the same way though.
Well, and then on top of, oh, sorry, go ahead.
No, I was just saying, I wanted to say that, I feel like a lot of men, like you was talking about Alvin, how when you was like, where's he at? Yeah. Like a lot of men also would react that way if they had a female friend come up to them and go,
groping. Yes. Yeah. But just a straight up, like, this dude won't stop trying to dance on me. I wouldn't go straight to violence.
I didn't say you. I'm saying some dudes.
There's a lot of guys that you look at their girl and they're like, let's fight.
Let's get it. Exactly.
For sure.
So how that reaction, I mean, it's not like,
But it was exacerbated because I'm with the homies.
Right.
And that's like, so it's not even there's no nuance in the moment for me where I'm like, somebody's messing with my friend. Yeah. Well, then we're all going to fight this guy. Yeah. And whoever he's with is going to be 4-on-4 brawl. Yeah. And that's just how it's going to go down. Yeah. As opposed to what my friend needed in that moment was emotional support.
Waking news in Switzerland.
Two Negroes.
And guess where they're from? Baltimore. That's like the headline. It's like, oh, shit.
The Wire.
Four guys beat up one 39-year-old gay guy.
That's a crazy headline, right? But what my friend needed from me in that moment, and from us, and I've apologized. And I want to apologize to you again publicly. But like, what you needed from that was a more nuanced thing. He needed support and like, are you good? Do you want to go? Right? Should we all go? Like, fuck this place, man. This place has weird energy, man. I don't want my friends getting harassed here. Let's fucking leave. Fuck this place. But instead it was like,
well, then that, and then the back end of that was when I just saw that, like, the other situation that I said was just adding to it. And I was just like, I got to get out of here. Because then it happened again with somebody. Like, this girl was literally falling down and this guy's holding her up, trying to make out with her.
Yeah.
Like buckling at the knee.
I didn't see this, but they told me this later. I didn't see
it.
That's crazy.
Like, I cannot stand. I can't speak. Like, it could have been super drunk or drugged. Like, it was at that point. And so I'm like, oh, I do something here. But then my brain was already in my situation. And I was like, okay. But without being a guy walking up to this guy and being like, yo, what's going on here? And I was like stopping females in the club. And after being turned away and people saying no to 3, which me foolishly thinking that all females are down to ride for each other and have each other's back. I was turned away by a few because I guess, everyone has the right to say no, and everything's not everyone's battle. And I guess I was just trying to be someone looking out for another human. So I can't really fault people for not helping, but it did make me look at
the whole club, the whole,
yeah. Because I finally got these 2 girls and I was like, hey, I don't want to go over here. I will, and I'm here to stand with you if you need me. But I don't want to go over here and, speak to this female to see if she's all right. And then, like, this guy But I was like, I will, and I'm down to be here with you and to go with you all. But I just think female to female, maybe she'll take it better if y'all say, hey, girl, are you okay?
Yeah.
So they're like, oh my God, of course. So these two girls went over and was like, hey, can we get you some water? Who's like, and they sort of try to talk to her like that and get her away from the guy. And because I told the bouncer, and bouncer just came back and was like, he said that's his girlfriend. I'm like, okay, I can say you're my boyfriend. Does that make it true?
Yeah. People say a lot of things.
So, and the way he was like just trying to make out with her, if that's your girlfriend, what's a boyfriend? What in you in that situation, if you're dating someone and they're that drunk,
I'm taking her home.
That is not the reaction of a boyfriend. It's like, oh my God, I can't believe you got this drunk. Let's fucking go home.
It's like you're mad. Yeah, no, okay, no. You triggered me. You triggered me. You triggered me. You triggered me. It wouldn't be like, let's steal this. But are you fucking serious? Let's go. Like, I can't.
Yes.
Like, let's get some,
not like, let me
food.
On you. Let me make out with you.
Yeah, for sure. So that's crazy.
I told the female bartender, like I was just making attention to it from everybody, from everywhere I could. And these girls were like, oh yeah, we got her some water. She told the female bartender. The bartender got another bouncer to like watch her. And then all of a sudden the guy's gone. And she's just drinking water at the bar by herself. So I'm not taking credit, but
you should.
I think I might have helped her get out of a hairy situation.
Yeah.
And
sure.
These girls like stayed around her for a little bit, and I just let that one go. And
I had no idea any of this.
But,
meanwhile, I'm on the dance floor like, ooh, I'm a Swiss man, boo beep boo. And I didn't know any of this was happening. And then I went up to our other two friends like, yo, where's Les at? We love this song. He's like, yo, he left. I was like, what? And then I was like, oh shit, wow. And then but then that's when it all kind of like computed that like, so then my night wasn't ruined, but I was concerned for my friend because I went, oh, that was deeper than like how we handled it.
Yeah.
Like and I didn't even know about the girl thing. You know, I just thought he left because he felt uncomfortable by this dude. So then I felt like shit. So then after a little bit, I left, and then I went to a chicken shop and got thrown out of there because I was talking too loud apparently. And
drunk.
I wouldn't say I was black. I was black in Switzerland.
You was drunk. You had to be drunk.
No, I was just like, I love Switzerland. I'm from America. But that's just like how I talk.
No, but when you get drunk, the volumes go up a tad bit.
All right, I was a little buzzed,
All
but
right.
I didn't think the guy was like, the guy kept like every 2 seconds I'm talking to these girls in the chicken shop, and the guy's like, excuse me, buddy, can you shut up? Volume? Yeah, I was like, oh, I'm so sorry. So where are you guys from? He's like, hey man, you got to go eat your food outside. I was like, damn, what is this?
Yeah.
After that, I got in the Uber, went back to the place, and Les was like in his bed, and we talked for like we shared some videos on TikTok. We were joking around and stuff. We didn't bring it up, but the next day we kind of went into it a little bit, and the guys were still on the like, no, well, you know, like you were dancing with like so, and then I could tell Les was like, let's just shut it down.
Passive,
let's shut it down.
Get into deep conversation.
Let's shut it. And I could tell Les was like, let's shut it down. I don't even want to talk about it because you guys aren't hearing what I'm saying.
Yeah, if you're not listening, I don't want to.
I'm not going to defend me being groped at a club to you. You know, and I saw that, and I was like, I'm going to have a talk with Les one-on-one at some point. And when we got back to Paris, after some excursions, we went and saw some other countries, whatever. When we got back to Paris, me and him had the last night there. Last night in Paris, we had a one-on-one in his room, and we kind of did what we're doing right now in person. And I was like, my bad, man. Like I didn't. It's nuanced. Yeah. Like I like me and Les have been friends for a long time, and through his journey, I've kind of tried to just adjust myself to his journey. But there's still nuances that I haven't run across until I run across them.
It's a new experience.
And that was one where I'm like, no, man, all my bros are out. We're all trying to get played. What?
Yeah.
You know. And so when he's telling me that, I'm like, yeah, man, like that's what you're out to do. That's what we do, right?
And that's another thing. Not to take you off, because with me, it's like I am very playful and very sexually speaking, and just very free and liberated with how I talk, and so that can be played. There's a difference between I have the freedom to talk like that. I shouldn't have to subdue how I talk in order, and then walk it when it comes to I may be sexually free in ways, but that is when I choose to be.
Exactly.
So if I'm like, I'm gonna go out and get some dick tonight, and then I'm like, I'm at the club and I'm like, I don't want to do this.
Yeah,
I'm totally fine.
Yeah, and that's so no. Yeah, just this is 100. This is 100% on us. You know what I mean? Like, again, if you were a girlfriend of ours who was like to go out and dance and get on top of bars. We have friends like that, and like to do that. If they came up to me and told me I'm uncomfortable in a situation, I wouldn't go like, but you're the girl that likes to get on top of the bars and likes to dance on guys. And what do you mean you're uncomfortable? You can't be uncomfortable. You're not allowed to be that. Like, that's not at all. That was 100% on us. I don't look at you as some kind of like freak, where you like, Les is this freaky boy. Like, if he's going out, the dicks are out. Like, that's not how I see it.
We were very nice.
so I don't see you that way anyway, but it's just weird. It's even weird to even try to explain. It's like, in that moment, I was like, baseline is like, we're all dudes out trying to get laid, whatever laid is to us.
Yeah.
Not like less specifically is like, what the guys were out there. That's like, they were on objectives. They were on missions. Like, that was kind of the theme of the trip for them, was to go out and get laid. Right. So I'm kind of playing along with that energy, because I'm like, well, I didn't know them and Les knows them. So I'm like, let me play along with the energy. So it's like American Pie energy. Like, let's go out, get laid. Right. That's the energy.
Like, make it fun for everybody.
I'm playing the role of the guy trying to like fit in and be like, that's what we're on. Right. Like, that's what we're on tonight. Like, that's what we're doing. But in that moment, there was a nuance where my friend had a negative experience, and I still treated it like we're having fun. And then once he told me again it wasn't fun, I went, well, then we will destroy this person, instead of offering him any other type of emotional support. Yeah. And for that, I apologize. But like I said, we had a really good talk in Paris, and I felt like coming back and having this conversation and letting people hear was important. And then I wanted one last thing, Fran, you might find this interesting. Me and Les I think we've only gotten in one fight since we've been friends. It wasn't even a fight; it was a dispute. And it all coincides to all this stuff. Interestingly enough, is that one, Les, I want you to give because you have an interesting philosophy. I don't know if you had it at the time when we got into this little argument, but your insight on like coming out is like, I'm just gonna be me, and I'm not here I don't have to tell you anything. Something like that. Right? Like,
yeah.
No, we're going to get into it. Yeah. We're going to get into it quickly, but yeah, go ahead.
Oh, yeah. I was in such peace with that. I was like, what is he talking about? We've never been into a fight. That was a fight between you, yourself, and you.
Yes. Fair enough. But give your
philosophy. I wasn't paying you no mind.
Give your philosophy.
You were in a fight all by yourself.
Look at this idiot.
I told you I'm an overthinker, man. So give your philosophy on coming out, that term. And I just learned about National Coming Out Day like this year, like when it just happened a few weeks ago. And I heard so many stories and everything. And I went and it made me think of how your philosophy, I don't know if it's new or not, but it's kind of like, I'm just going to do me. I'm not here to like announce anything to anybody, which I found interesting.
I think, and my experience and the way I think of it can be viewed a bunch of different ways, but that's for the viewer, not for me. Y'all don't pay my bills, so your opinions on what I think is yours. And I've dissected how I think about it too, and I still come back to what I think, and I don't necessarily think. I think coming out, there's a power in it, and it's like saying anything, and it being real. It's yours, and it should be however you want it to be. And mine just so happens to be how it is for me. And, coming out could be the family's all here. I'm telling everybody this is my truth, and boom, this is it. For me, I'm one of those, I can't hide it. And a lot of people are always just like, oh, like when people come out, they're like, well, we knew it. We were just waiting for you type of thing.
Yeah.
Which is also like, it's sort of insulting because it's like, why weren't you trying to make me even more comfortable?
Yeah.
Like, so you're like, well, until you come out, I'm going to still say faggot at the dinner table. Like, no.
Yeah. Like, if you had your suspicions, why wouldn't you be graceful to me?
It's a very hard thing for someone to do.
Yeah.
But yeah, like for me, I always would think about it, and I'm like, what on this planet makes it okay for the fact that I have to make this grand gesture of telling you? First of all, I have to come out every day as a queer person. So doing it, in any space I'm in, if people don't assume it, like, like I said, there's some days where I'm not clockable. Like where I'm not talking as much and people can't pick it up.
Yeah.
And I'm dressed in my lazy gear where I don't feel like, dressing how I feel. Like I feel like this. I'm going to dress in a hoodie. That's how I feel today. And, people don't know. And I've been in situations where people have said, it's just like the same thing with, when white people will be like, oh my God, I was so surprised. My coworker said the N-word the other day in front of me. I'm like, yeah, you have this thing where they will say that in front of you because you're white.
Yeah.
So it's like, it's that when I'm dressed in a certain way where people will say things that they feel comfortable with because they don't know.
Because you're in disguise.
For queer people, for some queer people, we have to come out every day or any situation if we feel like it. So I never really banged with that when it comes to people that know you. For me, I didn't know where I was, and I still don't, because I don't think it's that important. I have other things in my mind. I have my mental health. I have other traumatic things in my life that I'm trying to work through. And who I have sex with is not on the top of the list of me working on my life.
So I'm gonna interject there because that's like the perfect framework for the story. Keep that in mind. All the stuff keep that in mind for all the stuff Les just said. I'm at work.
Mind you, I would be fucking like saving food because I knew I wasn't gonna eat. Like these are the things I used to have to worry about.
There would be like a pizza party at work. There'd be like a pizza party at work, and then some extra pizza, a whole box of pizza's gone. We're like, that Les, he's such a prankster. He's like, no, I need to eat this pizza.
He's my Abercrombie
days.
Right, okay.
Abercrombie days. Right.
Yeah.
So at this point, me and Les have been friends for like a few years. I mean, at least like 5-6 years. We've been friends for like good friends. We've been good friends for a long time. And through the length of that time, you knew Les at this point. There was always discussions where like, is Les gay? And everybody would just be like, well, I don't know. He's not saying that he is. And then me personally, as his friend, like I've been in situations where there was a girl at a place that I liked, and he would like, then all of a sudden he's making out with this girl.
Yeah.
So I'm like, listen, I don't know what you guys think, but this guy's like on my ass. Like every girl that I like somehow is like
he was dating
snagged from me in some kind of way, right? So I'm like, I don't know. This is like he's like Prince in my mind. I'm like, he's tricking you guys. Like I don't know what you guys think. He's laying incognito, and then he's lying in wait, and then he snags every girl that I look their way that I like them. He steals. Yeah. So that was my experience with Les, and it wasn't a personal thing. I just kind of laughed it off. That was funny. But then as the years went on, Les is traveling. He's going on cruise ships. He started living in Key West. And then I'm at work one night, and a friend calls me and is like, we were hanging out with Les, and his boyfriend was there. We had a crab feast, and everybody was there, and there were we all were sitting around the table, and it was so nice, and his boyfriend is so nice, and I'm like, what? And I felt like I was like such a close person to Les, and I felt like there was like this last supper that was had, and I wasn't invited to it. And I took it really personally because I thought it was his way of bringing his boyfriend to town and bringing all the people that he cares about to meet his boyfriend. That's how in my mind, because I'm crazy, my mind made this whole thing of like, well, I just wanted to gather all the people that I care about to the place where I grew up at Zen West, my favorite place, and have all of my real close friends here to meet this person and for me to reveal this part of myself that you guys have all had questions about for years, I'm sure, but here I am. Yeah. That's how it went in my mind. Right? Yeah. So then when I
threw a coming out, like I threw a crab boil for coming out. How straight does that sound?
Well, what's funny
is, guys, come to this crab boil. I got something to tell you. All right.
What's funny is, Les, you don't know this, you don't know this, but I remember this situation because I talked to you, or you told me about it, and I was like, how's Les doing? He's like, yeah, I don't know, man. I haven't talked to him in a couple days. I went like, why? It was this voice, this down. I was like, why?
I sent him a long text message. I was like, hey, man, just want to let you know, wow, I thought we were better than that. You come into town and you bring your boyfriend and you reveal something like that to the world, and you don't even tell me. Wow. And then his response was like, man, I didn't even look at it that way. Like a stuff that was like really what he just said, but in my mind, I'm like, lies. I don't want to hear your lies. Your horn of lies won't work on me. You just happen to have 20 people at this meet your boyfriend at Zen West, and I wasn't invited. I don't want to hear about it. So then, after a couple of days of me being like that, and I talked to you, we like either met up and talked about it or whatever. And then he said to me basically all the things he said, like, I just came to get a drink, and they all were there. And they were eating crabs. Yeah. And so we just ate crabs.
Yeah.
It wasn't a thing. It wasn't like a thing. And I was like, oh, sorry.
Yeah.
So so from this point of view, and from all the like work we've both done on just in ourselves since then, that's hilarious. And to think of how I handled it then, because I was like, it still was a thing. It still was like, oh, this is sort of like, I went to Zen. I didn't introduce, like, I wasn't saying anything like that, like, to anyone. People would ask, and I'm like, yeah, you can say that because we're together. Yeah. And I said to myself, that's always been a thing for me, is like, I said, if I ever start dating someone, then that's when somebody will know who I'm into. Yeah. And it'll just have to be that. Even if it was a female, I would still be who I am.
Yes.
And I'd still like men,
yes.
even if I was dating a female.
Yes.
So people would just have to, and so many people just say, oh, well, then you're bi. I have to have friends that just have to cling on to a thing
they have to put in order
for it to make sense.
Yeah, they have to put you in a box.
So many people we know have just been like, I can't keep up with you. You're bi. And I'm just like, okay, sure. If that's what you need.
For your brain to keep functioning, if you need to put me in a box.
For your little pea brain to understand that things don't have to be so black and white. Sure, I'm bi, you dumb fuck. But for that situation, I was like, hey, you have this day off. Let's go to Baltimore. Just so happened people were all at Zen, like I said. And it wasn't, this person was going to come meet y'all at some point. And then on my end, if I had just been like, yo, come to Zen, your answer would have probably been no anyway. So
you don't know that.
Clock how. Yeah, I do. And I already told you, I'm not one of those people that will play into your little, I know you know that I'm not going to come, but still invite me. I don't play that.
my answer would have been like, yeah, no, I'll try. What time?
Yeah.
No, that's funny because we do the same thing. Because other people go like, hey, invite Alvin. I go, I'm not doing that. He's not coming. I'm not about to...
I'm not wasting my time.
He's not going to come, so that's not where. Let's move on.
That's not me currently, though.
No,
that's not me now.
Not but previous years you've been. Alvin's not coming out, so I'm not inviting him. I'll tell him how it went.
Well, I still wanted to be invited to your coming out crab boil, even if I wouldn't have come. It's the principle.
That I didn't know I was having. So what happened? The day happened. And that didn't cross my mind at all because me coming out wasn't a thing because people have been around me, people have been questioning to themselves. And that's what I appreciate about people is because that just means that y'all rock with me and whatever was going to be whatever.
Yeah.
So all of my best friends that stay that way because it's just like, I knew what I was doing and I was purposely keeping people on their toes because I'm like, it's none of your business. You like me, you should like me how you like me.
For sure.
Yeah. And that's it. And so, because that's how I'm with y'all, I know y'all have sex with women, but maybe you don't. And I don't know, and I don't care.
Yeah, I like you for
you're
you.
My friend.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. So I feel like that should be, and I don't think if you're not telling me that you're straight, I'm not telling you that I'm gay. It's like it's not like, I'm straight. So I talked to my wife today, and like people don't do that. Like, but that always has to be a thing with my conversations. Like, so I was dating this guy. I'm gay, by the way.
Yeah.
Like, no, that's not. It's not. I don't carry any situation like that.
Yeah.
And so for me, like I said, it's whoever I was dating. So I was going to make a big deal about bringing the first guy I've ever dated to your house. Yes. Or to invite you and out at the time to like do that whole thing.
Yes.
But that would have been a separate thing that I was going to plan to see what y'all was up to and stuff like that. And so, y'all had your own thing coming.
Yes.
And so when I got this message, which I thought was sweet, I was like laughing at it as I was reading it. Even though you're pouring your feelings out, I'm laughing at it. I was like, oh, this is really sweet. The sentiment's sweet. But my immediate reaction was, it's not about you. You literally just made my fake coming out about you. I was like, how is this turned into something about you?
That's not even what it is, but how dare you make it about you? Because it was,
I was like...
I was like,
and I said that. I was like, this has nothing to do with you.
I'm hurt. I can't believe you would lie to me and deceive me and not invite me to such a moment. Like, what about me and my feel? It was very much like that. But I like the idea that like it was sweet because it's like it wasn't like, yo, you gay?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, not that you ever had any
because it was
worries.
very much like I remember parts of it, and there was a lot of. I hope I didn't make you feel uncomfortable. Like I thought I was very open with just being your friend. It was very much being you were taking on responsibility that also wasn't yours. I thought I was good enough type of thing to receive this information
I was hurt.
Before other people.
It got deep. It got deep for me. I was at work. I had a lot of time to think. I was like, I mean, am I not a person he feels like he could tell that to? Do I exude homophobic tendencies?
And that's the thing. With when it comes to situations like that taught me a lesson, and that taught me a lesson that do I have fake beefs with people and I don't know it? Because if you didn't say anything, that would have been something you internalized and maybe stop hanging out with me as much as you used to, and I would have never known.
Yeah.
So people you got to just talk things out, and that should be a real friendship, is where you can just let stuff out. But yeah, again, I had no feelings.
What the fuck is this guy talking about? You're ruining my coming out crab boil.
So when I read that, I literally for me, and even your assumption of what my reaction was on the other end was even wrong, because I didn't have any ill feelings at all. I read it, I took the sweetness from it, and I was like, oh. Well, I was like, yeah, and I think I was like, hey, I'm sorry if that's how it came out. It has nothing to do with you. But I was like, we were just there. It happened, and no way. And you should take that as an even better thing. It's that you don't need to know about things like this, because whatever I have to say is going to come to you in a different way. And it was accidental too. I just came to Zen, and everyone was there.
He said something like that. And at that night, I was like, a likely story. Yeah, everyone just happened to be at Zen West, a bar where people drink and get free discounts on the food. Everybody happened to all be there on a Friday, enjoying themselves. I just was like, I had that tone, but it was no, that makes perfect sense. A bunch of people that we know from that bar were at that bar for an event where there was free food there. And I was like,
in his mind, there was a group chat, there was a Facebook invite that I made. Their personalized invitations with people's names,
and I didn't get one.
Calligraphist invitations.
And so I'm going over, and then to top it all off, two friends that we know that are a couple, posted a picture with him, the guy, them, and was like, "What a great night!" And I was like, "Wow!" So that person gets to know, and I don't get to know. You told that person this before you tell me. Yeah. So I'm playing these games. I'm zooming on the picture, wow, that person. That person was at the crab boil, coming out crab boil, and you didn't tell me.
Wow, was that person even at your birthday party?
Were they at your 5th birthday party dressed like a 5-year-old? No, I don't think they were, but they get to come to this monumental moment, and I had all that, and that's why you got some of that energy, Fran, a couple days later, where you're like, yo, Les is in town, how is he? I'm like, I wouldn't know a lot of things about Les. I thought I did. I was like, all right.
I don't know if that is his real name.
Yeah, so no, long story short, that was not a coming out, but it speaks to even the dumb type of nuances in that journey, if people choose to take that journey of coming out to your close friends, because you said that was a bar you said too, of you have to come out every day. Because you might have to be at a place where there's a drag show happening and you're sitting there in sweatpants and you're enjoying the drag show, and somebody next to you says the F word, or I didn't know they were doing this gay shit in this bar tonight. And they don't know that you're gay. And they're talking to you.
Yeah, and that's another thing. What I was saying early, to swing around to what I was saying, how it's a double-edged sword, so to speak, when it comes to being black and queer, because I also have to come out to the queer community to make them feel comfortable. So there's things I have to do in every setting that I'm in. If I'm a black man and I'm entering a space with females, I try to turn on the gay so they know they can feel safe. So if I didn't feel yes, honey God, yes, mama, knock the house down boots, but if I come into a room and it's just me and a female, and I'm in an elevator, I'm like, oh my God, I love your blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
Just to
diffuse.
cut the ice, just to cut the tension, just to diffuse. And, I feel like sometimes it's one of those things where even if I'm in a visible, I see, a bunch of another queer dude or something like that, it's like little signals that will just be like, okay, me, I'm just black to some people.
Yeah.
So, and I know that the black community has been like have gotten under a lot of fire for like homophobic acts and gay bashing and stuff like that. And being from Baltimore, I've seen it firsthand, and I've seen like gay guys getting harassed in the mall by like a bunch of dudes from there, and it's like I've seen it, so it's just a part of my reality. So I don't really think about how other people see it.
Yeah.
And so obviously they already will be like, well, this black guy is like gonna have this aggression towards me. And I like I said, I sort of have to do it in my own circles.
Yeah.
Just to make people feel comfortable. But and now in my more mature age, I'm just like, these are a lot of things I've taken on myself personally to make other people feel comfortable. But I'm like, what the fuck are y'all doing to make me feel comfortable?
Yes.
How about that?
Yes.
So I just go into a room as myself. If somebody has something to say or somebody feels a certain way, that's a them problem until we have a conversation. So I don't need to be thinking about, unless it's an area where I'm in danger, I don't need to be rolling out red carpets for other people to feel comfortable. I feel like that moment with you was one of the first integrations of my new self, where it was like, you just got to let people have whatever they're feeling to themselves. Like a lot of people just have them problems that I don't know about because I'm just doing
you let me cry in the crib.
I'm in my
he'll fall asleep. He'll fall asleep eventually. Just let him cry out. He just wants uppies. He just wants uppies. He just wants uppies. Just let him cry. We don't want to spoil him, so just let him we don't want to give him uppies. Just let him cry in the crib. He'll fall asleep eventually. Damn. Okay.
And I feel like it forced you to think about it, because my tune never changed.
No.
I never gave you more of an apology.
I texted him like a couple of days after that.
It happened.
I think I called you.
I was like, it happened. It wasn't about you.
So after a couple of days of that, of me crying and not getting uppies, I called him or texted him. I was like, yo, man, I reacted kind of bad. You know, you're right. Like, that wasn't really about me, but my feelings were hurt. And then we had like a real back and forth. Like, well, you know, you're my friend, and that all that mushy stuff or whatever. And we cleared it up. So that's good. But just to close things out, this is a question I'm going to be asking people. For you, being less green, performer, a queer presenting person, black man, what in your friendship groups and people that are around you, what does allyship look like to you? Not at Thanksgiving, not when you're not around, but like just around you. Is it like, what is that?
I honestly think I'm learning it. Like, I think I've said this about a lot of things. I'm late to the game on a lot of things. I'm late to respecting myself. I'm late to learning how to love myself. Like, this is all, I'm unlearning a lot of stuff. And I just see it as a circle. I'm pushing some stuff out, and it's like a deep breath. I'm letting out the old stuff, and I'm breathing in the new stuff. So I'm learning at the same time. So I'm still trying to see if I'm being an ally to myself, first of all. Yeah. And I'm processing that. So it's like, I feel like all the people that are still in my life are there for a reason, because I feel like maybe for me, I feel like everyone that I hold near and dear to me already in their certain ways are on this journey with me, learning what that is.
Yes.
So I get new information and I share it with you.
Yes.
So then you have a different insight on things. And so I'm being better with myself. You're learning to be better with this community and space. And it's work.
Yes.
In short, allyship is work, as much as everything else is. If you want to be an ally, if you want to describe yourself as an actual ally,
do the work.
It's work.
Yeah.
It's watching queer films without having a gay friend over and being like, oh, let's watch this movie. It's watching queer programming without having that person there. It's doing your own research and learning. That's all it is. Being an ally just means learning about something that doesn't have to do with you.
And it's not performative.
In your day-to-day life.
It's not a post. It's the work that's not seen.
It's not a post. It's not a black square. It's not a pride flag in front of your house. It's nothing virtue signaling type stuff. It's none of that. It's, can I have a conversation? Can I have a real conversation about real issues in this community without you defending it? Being an ally means listening, not talking. Being an ally means learning, not
teaching.
Telling people.
Yeah,
not teaching. Like, not telling people how you see it. And being an ally has a lot to do with shutting the fuck up. Honestly. And creating space for people that don't have it. Like, if you have a platform, share it. You spread the word and you share, you try to enlighten these other people. But yeah, so in short, and being an ally, I think is just a lot of listening, learning, creating space for people, and shutting the fuck up. And, like, instead of screaming at your family, how about you give me the mic? So I can tell your family why I don't like when they touch my hair. Instead of you being like, don't touch Tamika's hair because your hands are nasty. No,
because I said
deeper than that.
It's putting me in a position of authority and control.
He doesn't like it. Yeah. People. There's a lot of people wanting to be heroes versus, being the sidekick. So there's a lot of that. So
that's damn.
So yeah, and that is just a little bit of my journey, and you guys will be on it. I mean, y'all know me, so it's constantly changing, and y'all know I'm always learning something, traveling, meeting other people, learning different things about myself. So it's like, I mean, I'm just one person with one opinion, and some people may agree with it. Some people might have their own things. I mean, some people feel very strongly against maybe some of the things that I've said when it comes to like coming out. They're like, that holds so much power, and you should be proud of doing this, and you should be out and proud about everything. But it's like, that's fine for you.
Yeah.
Everyone has their own thing. Some people coming out means death. Like, there's some people in countries that will be murdered if they come out.
Yeah. This was a fucking conversation and a half, man. And we're gonna have more conversations like this, but I'm gonna let you go enjoy Brazil. If you come back with a BBL or a thinner waist, and you try to tell me like, no, I just been drinking a lot of lemon water, I'm not trying to hear it. I'm going to ask you to show me your belly button, because they do something weird to your belly button when they snatch your waist. So just listen, come back. Come back as you are. Don't come back with some kind of cat face.
You come back with a BBL, and then Alvin gets all in his feelings because you didn't tell him why you did it.
Yeah, but why didn't you tell me your journey?
You can always call Fran. We can talk about it. I go, man, just let him go through his little thing.
Just let him cry.
You got augmentations to your body.
Why don't you love yourself? Why don't you love yourself, King? Why wouldn't you tell me you don't love yourself, man? Wow, I thought we were better than that. So a plug, do whatever you have shows you have coming up in the later months, right? This is coming out in, what month is this? It's coming out first week in November. Yeah. So anything November and later, go.
Wow, put me on the spot. I don't even know what's going on.
Well, Hotel Cafe, December 9th in Los Angeles.
Oh yeah, that is happening. So I mean, hey everybody, my name is Les Green. I am Les Green across all socials, including OnlyFans. Like, no, I'm kidding.
You got bills, man.
Swayze's is my band. The Swayze's is my band. Exactly. No shade to my online sex workers. Y'all make y'all money. But yeah, I Am Les Green is my stuff. My band's called the Swayze's, SWAYZEES, and we got shows, and y'all should be just checking out for new music from us. And we have a show in LA for all our LA listeners out there. December 9th at Hotel Cafe. There's a special guest that'll be appearing that you all might know and love.
Oh, don't say it like that. Yeah. Don't say it like that. I'm just coming to watch the show. I'm not doing anything. I don't want people to be like,
Affirmative murder.
Are you doing a podcast here too? No, I just will be there. We can get drunk there.
Yeah, no. He's just coming to support his friend. But yeah, y'all should come too. And y'all should go watch the Elvis movie and listen to the soundtrack. Listen to Tutti Frutti, track 11, Les Green.
Get those
some streams up.
Yeah.
It's not going to do anything for my pockets. It'll just make me look cool on the internet for future gigs. So thanks.
So once again, thank you to Les. And hey, man, listen, be safe, and I'll talk to you soon.
All right, bro.
All right, bye. Adios. I can speak Spanish and Portuguese now because I'm in Brazil.
Real quick. What's bye in Portuguese?
I don't know. Adios. Bye.
Oh man, I love that guy. All right, wow, man, that was a good conversation, huh? Yeah, I learned a lot. I'm really glad we're doing this. I'm excited to talk to some more callers. But so what we're gonna do is we're gonna take a quick break, and when we get back, we're gonna call some more people.
Oh, hello.
Hello, can we speak to Hannah?
This is Hannah.
Hi, Hannah. This is Alvin and Fran from Affirmative Murder. Hi.
What up?
Hi. How are you guys? Oh, sorry, my dog thinks there's a person here because I said hi.
Did we catch it? Did we catch you at a good time?
Sorry about that. How's it going?
Good. How you been?
I'm in grad school, so I'm just trying to get my shit together.
Okay.
How are you guys doing?
Same. Just always constantly a battle of getting shit together and getting it together and all of those things. It's always it's a journey, you know.
Yeah. I totally understand that.
So Hannah, good talking to you again. What resonated with you when you saw that this was the town hall that we were doing?
Oh, okay. Well, so I'm queer and I'm genderqueer, is I guess one way to describe it. So I identify as non-binary. I use they, them pronouns. And I'm pretty involved or trying to be more involved with like my own queer community at my school. And just seeing that you guys were interested in kind of having a dialogue, I thought was really cool. And I mean, I'm a huge fan of both of you guys. I know that's kind of weird, right? But like you guys, I love your podcast. So, I was pretty excited to see you were doing this.
Yeah. That's not weird at all. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
I don't. It's not weird. It's great.
Okay.
Yeah. No. I don't know. I thought I was going to say something else, and there just was nothing there when I went to speak more.
Yeah.
Man, my brain froze. It's not weird at all. It's great. Just to, alleviate that thing that you said. Not at all. Not weird at all. Now, Hannah, as far as like how you got to. You could speak to it. I could be wrong. I like to just speak and let people that know what they're saying correct me along the way, right? So to me, the pronouns have always existed, obviously. But I'm like choosing your pronouns. The journey of choosing your pronouns feels like a relatively like new concept. So like, how did that manifest itself for you as like 10-year-old Hannah? Like, what would you say comes along with being non-binary and the journey of choosing your pronouns? And how did that manifest itself before there was a language to put to it? If that makes sense.
Oh, that's a really, So that's a really good question. So I'm kind of like finding my gender identity was more of a recent thing. And I think honestly, like as weird as it sounds, the pandemic kind of forced me to be really introspective with myself and things that I've maybe always felt about how I identify or how I want people to see me, I guess. And I kind of reckoned with a lot of these, just really wrestled with these things. And, like as a kid, I don't know. I mean, this might sound really cliche or typical, and I know, every kid kind of feels different, right? And like just feels like they don't really fit in.
Sure.
But I just never felt like feeling like one of the girls, I guess, just didn't really feel like it just didn't really fit with me. And there were just so many things about my friends that I just didn't kind of identify with. And It's really hard to pinpoint. And the difficult thing with that too is, we have a lot of these misconceptions of what gender should be. And, a lot of the things that I didn't really feel like I fit in with were kind of stereotypical female things.
Yeah.
And so like that shouldn't have made me feel like I didn't fit in, just because I didn't like those stereotypical things. But, even still, that just didn't, I don't know, there was like this kind of discomfort with it, I guess. But I didn't really have, like you said, the language, at least in the mainstream, is relatively new. And I certainly didn't have the language or the knowledge to kind of contextualize that stuff. And I guess in the pandemic, it kind of allowed me to, I was home and I didn't have to kind of perform every day. I didn't have to be a certain thing. I didn't have to appear a certain way.
Mm-hmm.
And that was kind of freeing. So I just kept, it was like this continual exploration of that, really, to help me figure it out.
That's really interesting. And to like reverse it on what you say, like the way that you felt uncomfortable in fitting into these binary boxes of, let's just say, stereotypical things like dolls and being on the cheer team or whatever the things were. A person shouldn't feel uncomfortable if they do like those, where if in the binary box you're being put in is telling you shouldn't like those things. So I find this conversation very interesting because it can get muddied by people trying to slam dunk on people or people coming with like empirical data or whatever. That's to not have a conversation about somebody saying this is how I feel, and your whatever data that you have on a piece of paper can't describe how I feel as a person, and to tell somebody that their journey is like not true is one of the most disrespectful things I've ever heard. Because as a black person, as a black man, I walk through life, and me and Fran talk about it a lot. It's like, it's just some stuff I can't tell people is real.
Yeah.
But I know it's real.
Yeah, but they don't understand.
So for somebody, I can empathize with somebody saying, this is what I feel. And to be met with like, well, here's the facts or here's the science or whatever. It's like you're to just tell somebody that they're crazy is so dismissive, and it's horrible, It's nothing worse than being misunderstood. I'm completely fine with being misunderstood, but like
not listening is a thing.
Yes. Yeah. Not listening and being told, just dismissing and calling it crazy is different than not understanding.
Right.
And so I empathize with that part of it.
Yeah. Absolutely. And it's been a really weird journey, especially because I'm in like the academic world. And funny you bring up data. So the field I'm in, it sounds very fancy, but it's not. It's just bioinformatics, and it's like computers and biology, and using computers to study biological shit.
I would have called it biocompuology, but continue. Yes.
Nice. Yeah. There's computational biology. It's like another way you could say it. So that's pretty close.
Yeah.
That's pretty spot on.
I like mine better.
Continue. And yeah, it's more fun for sure. And so, I constantly see other science people trying to use science to describe gender and sexuality and just all these concepts that have, been established because there were only like white guys in science for so long.
Yeah.
And what's wild about that is like when you look at things like sex chromosomes, there's totally so many different variations in hormones and how much certain hormones we receive individually. And so trying to explain this with biology in the way that they do, it doesn't make sense because biology is not that black and white. It's not this clear cut thing where XX is the only female and XY is only male. Like there's so many variations. And so even then it doesn't fit, it's like just having these two genders just doesn't even fit when you think of biology and how it works. So I love having that argument, just because it's, I don't know. It's the science is there, Yeah. Yeah.
So I don't know if you can answer this, but what data do they have for them to, to believe that?
Just the chromosomes. It's the chromosomes thing.
Yeah, the chromosomes and like genitalia stuff, right? And like even then there's a lot of ambiguity, with like secondary sex characteristics and stuff. So there's just, I don't know. And I'm not intersex, so I don't want to speak for anybody, but there's so many incredible educators out there that are talking about how vast biology is when it comes to gender and identity and psychology. Like, there's just so much still for us to learn. And it's just really not as clear cut as people think.
Exactly. And it's like, I don't even like to get weighted down in going into that world of the analytical thing, because I like to focus more on like just gender roles and gender identity and how you choose to perform your life and how you choose to express yourself is not something that is any of my business. And, you know, and it's your journey, and I support people in expressing themselves however they choose to. So the idea of even going into a mathematical, biological perspective, when we're talking about, listen, I like to wear dresses, or I like to wear suits, or I like to let my facial hair grow out, or my legs hair, that's your business, and I support it. And I think that people should be able to represent themselves however they please and not have to be apologetic about it or explain it to anybody. I'm not here. I'm not here to just to reiterate, like, this, the point of this is not to like have people come here and like explain why you live your life the way that you do. I want people to have the opportunity and a platform to just kind of speak about their journey, some obstacles in that journey, and just for my own personal interest to learn about those things, because that will help me understand the plight of a community better and help me grow in empathy and education. And so I'm not here to like to put people under a microscope. Yeah. So I don't even like to.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. I just am like, however you choose to express yourself and the journey that it took you to get to that point, I'm fascinated in that part. Yeah. I don't really even care about the science of it or whatever.
But
you know.
More importantly, is like you listening. You taking the initiative to be like, I want to listen and learn instead of just trying to correct people and then like maybe whatever they say disagree with them because you believe something else.
And that's what tends to happen when you play the other game of that conversation about the statistics and where's the data and
totally.
I'm not here for that.
Yeah, it's exhausting, honestly. And I think, I don't know, I've had to get used to explaining because so many people, like, I mean, especially my own parents, like there's a huge misunderstanding. And I think a lot of people confuse gender and sexuality. A lot of people confuse, and I understand in I guess the ethos, really, like, it's tough to say. So many cultures have observed this like gender spectrum, but in mainstream society, the language wasn't always well known.
Yeah.
And so, it's nice to now have that language. At least for me, it's comforting. It was helpful.
And would you say, because again, I don't know shit about shit, right? So as far as like your choice to identify with the pronouns that you've chosen, did you do that to reject the societal idea of what femininity and her and she is, and you just don't resonate with that, and so you chose to take that stance? Is that or is that at least part of the idea? I just want to understand.
I think that's part of it. No, absolutely. So to kind of like add some more context, like I always knew I was queer, and I don't even like the term bisexual, because I basically, the way I tell people is like, I like everyone. I think everyone's attractive, and that's my sexuality. And once I kind of came out with that, I felt more confident and courage to really explore this other aspect of who I am.
Yeah.
And so the more and more I thought about how I identify my own gender and the pronouns I use, the more and more she and her just felt really uncomfortable. It just didn't feel like me. And I guess I don't know if it ever did, but it really started to just rub me the wrong way. And it just didn't feel right.
Yeah.
And it's really hard to, and that's another thing where it's like, it was just a lot of feelings where I just didn't feel, it just didn't feel right anymore. And so, I started trying to incorporate the they, them pronouns, and it was really hard for people. And that was hard for me because, I know that this is new for people, and it was new for me. And to expect people to just like know that what pronouns to use and all these things, like it takes a lot of unlearning, right? Like it takes a lot of unlearning our own indoctrination of the gender binary. And so, and I'm still working on that, like we all are. And yeah, it was difficult. And, my parents, my family, they definitely struggle. Other people struggle. But with practice, it really, it gets a lot easier. And, I was also afraid to correct people too, because that's also, it just becomes this uncomfortable thing where then I also have to explain, like, these are the pronouns I use and what does that mean? Because usually some people would follow up with a question or, maybe they just don't understand. They want to know more. And so, then I got to explain. And then, sometimes it becomes weird and then it becomes exhausting. So, you got to also like pick your battles with it.
Yeah.
Right. It's just, it's tough, it's tough.
Understandable. If you had to give a piece of advice to some, like, because I feel like you probably can't even put into words the type of person that you are, right? Like you either know somebody's hearing this and they're understanding what you're saying and the other people might not, right? So like if you're speaking to those people who understand how Hannah was feeling at a young age and not fitting into these boxes and not really understanding, what would be some advice to people today, young people your age that might still have not, come to terms and understand why they feel the way that they feel? What advice would you give to somebody that might feel the things that you feel on any given basis or have felt in the past?
Yeah. Ooh, that's a really good question. I would really say that just kind of do yourself a favor and explore, and don't be afraid to start questioning how you feel about things and why you identify a certain way. Because I think that's the scariest part, is really when you start questioning and you feel uncertain in yourself, and you become scared of, what are people going to think and how are people going to react? And, but like finding out, finding words to describe who I am, seeing other people who felt the same way that I did, who were also questioning their gender. That was like the most affirming thing in the world, just knowing like, holy shit, I'm not alone in how I feel, and I'm not alone in this kind of like journey of figuring it out. And, whatever you find, right? Whatever you find out about yourself and how you identify in your gender, in your sexuality too. Like it's, once you really embrace that part of yourself, like that's the most liberating thing in the world. And I really can't put into words how good it felt to just come out as like, yeah, this is me. This has always been me. And now there are words to add some context. And, and again, like it's not easy. It's not going to be easy. I'm in an atmosphere where there are a lot of old white dudes teaching who, have a hard time with understanding where we're coming from. And other faculty who just really struggle to get it.
Yeah.
And that really sucks. And that it will suck, there's no denying that, but it still doesn't, I don't know. There's just like no words to really describe how incredible it feels to find yourself, I guess.
Wow.
Does that make sense?
That does make sense. Makes sense to me. Well, Hannah, listen, it's always great to talk, and I'm glad that you reached out to be a part of this. And do you have any final words before we part ways?
Well, I just want to thank you both for doing this and having this platform. I'm honored to talk to you guys again. Like, I just love your podcast. So many of us do. And, you're doing important shit, and we're really grateful. And this is just really neat, and I'm just really happy to see people having these conversations, because to see this becoming more mainstream, like I'm 31, I'm your guys' age, and like seeing kids just having the freedom to find this when they're kids, like, oh my God, I would give anything to have that for myself, but just to know that that's the future now is, it's just incredible. Yeah. So yeah, I'm just happy to see that this is where we're going. You know, we have a long way to go,
for sure, right?
But like, we're getting there.
Yeah.
You know, we're getting there.
Slow and steady wins the race.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you guys so much.
Absolutely. Yeah. And you be safe out there, and we'll talk to you soon.
You too. You guys have a great night.
Thank you. You too.
Bye-bye.
Hello.
Hello. Is this Allie?
Yes, it is.
Hi, Allie. It's Alvin and Fran.
What up?
Hey, guys.
How are you? I'm good. How are you doing?
I'm good.
You enjoying the fall? Wait, where are you?
I'm in Colorado.
Oh, so yeah, it's fall as fuck. Yeah, it's definitely it's brisk for sure. Jackets and flannels.
Definitely, we got first snow yesterday.
Oh, gee.
Wow.
Oh, man. Okay.
Early.
Yeah. Well, then. Yeah. Okay. Well, yeah. So it's good to know. Sometimes we talk to people and they're like, "Oh, I know. I live in California," or something. And it's like, "Oh, fuck off." So you get it. But
no, we do winter here. We do fall and winter here pretty good.
Yeah, winter is coming. So Allie, if you wouldn't mind, please telling us how you resonate with the intention of this town hall that we're doing.
Yeah. So I grew up as the daughter of two gay moms. And so I've always kind of been on the peripheries of the LGBTQ community since I personally identify as straight. Mm-hmm. But I've been a part of it because it's kind of unavoidable with two gay moms.
Yeah.
I think that when I was a lot younger, I didn't really realize that there was anything different about our family.
Sure.
I think probably until about like 5 or 6, I thought our family was normal, and I didn't really see any difference in families. And then you kind of get into school and socializing with other kids, and you realize there's something different here. And kids can be really mean.
Yeah, I was gonna ask that. Like, so that came with some ridicule and questions that were maybe inappropriate or rhetorical. They just were more of jokes than questions and things like that.
There wasn't, there was one particular instance with a bully that I remember really well, that she came up to me and she said, "You're going to be a lesbo because your moms are." And it was like, you don't know anything about me. You don't know anything about my moms. Why do you think you know how I'm going to turn out?
And why is that a negative?
And
and that too.
Yeah. Why is that a negative thing?
Yeah,
for sure. And I remember a lot after that, I started referring to them as my parents instead of my moms, and kind of doing this thing where I'd feel people out and try to figure out how they were going to react or how they were going to take the idea of me having two moms, and I would not really tell people until I felt comfortable around them.
So society made you make that adjustment. You had no problem saying my mom's until you realized like this could come with negativity or judgment in some kind of way.
Absolutely. Yeah. And I think the other thing that I really remember from my childhood is I had a very dear friend. We've been friends since kindergarten, and we're still friends now, but she was never allowed to spend the night at my house. Her family is very religious, and they're all really nice, kind people aside from this. So it was really kind of this dissonant thing where they're very kind people. They were always very nice to me. I spent the night at her house all the time, but she was not allowed to spend the night at my house. She could come over and play, but not spend the night.
Funny how that works. They're always religious. Yeah. The nice people who cast judgment on certain groups. They're always the nicest people until their ugly side. Yeah.
Yeah.
So that actually leads to an interesting conversation. So obviously we live in a crazy world and people with wild ideologies and things of that nature. As a kid who was raised by two gay people, what feelings come to you when you see the argument from sick, terrible people that, gay people shouldn't be able to adopt or raise children because of what I don't know, whatever fears they have, you sound like a nice person, like they sound like they did a good job with you. So like, as a person who has experienced that, like, how does that make you feel when you hear that as an argument? And I hate to even call it an argument, but like as a talking point.
I mean, it breaks my heart because there are so many kids out there who need homes and who need loving families. And I think both my moms and other gay couples that they were friends with or are still friends with are some of the most loving people I've ever met. There's not anything untoward happening in these communities. I mean, of course, you're always going to find bad apples that may be bad, but
just bad parent. But that could just be a bad parent that has nothing to do with, like sometimes people get adopted by people who have, insidious ideas, but that doesn't have anything to do with like their sexual orientation, so it's crazy to even that they could, if you could even, some people they'll find an example of that, but you'll find an example of people of all walks of life that might have adopted a kid for a nefarious reason,
Exactly. And, I think that it's very interesting, my friend not being able to spend the night at my house. I probably saw her parents be more affectionate towards each other when I was over than I saw my mom being when I was around. Yeah. So it's not like they were going to do anything to try to turn anyone gay or anything like that. Yeah. So it just breaks my heart because it means that we're stopping people from having loving, wonderful homes.
And that's another great. I'm just trying to dismantle as many talking points I can with somebody that has the experience that you have. None of these talking points need to be dismantled. They're insanity and they don't make any sense. But the idea that a kid can be programmed and see things on television or see things in their home that would skew them a certain way, other than love and a loving, warm home that you grew up in, would you say that at any point there was a higher percentage chance of you turning out different than how you present today because of how you grew up in your home and who raised you?
No, I absolutely don't think so.
Of course.
And aside, some religions some religious communities are very, very strict about not allowing gay people and all that stuff. But I actually grew up in a really great Lutheran church that my mom found when I was very young that was an accepting church. And they wanted me to have this kind of structure to my life as a kid. And so some of the most important relationships that I developed as a kid were with people from the church that didn't kind of find these hardline things that some churches do and instead chose to just kind of love everybody and love their neighbor.
And isn't that's like really sad because, a big part of why I'm not like a super religious person is that it's been corrupted by a lot of the messengers. Because at the core of it, when you just follow the simplest guidelines of these books that people follow, it's about love and caring for your community and, being there for people. So, and growing up with your parents, with your moms and within a church that is accepting as all churches should be, what would you say religion means to you today because of that reason, at least in the framework in which you experience religion?
Yeah, I think to me, it's really about community and having a community that is reliable and that is about love. I think that's super important. And I think it is, for me, more about the community and the people than it necessarily is about memorizing the Bible or anything like that. It's about the feeling that you get when you're in that kind of community.
What would you say are things that you you would say or unique to your experience growing up that maybe a kid with two moms wouldn't have?
I don't know how different my childhood was necessarily from a lot of other people. I think that we did a lot of the same things. I went to school dances. I played piano. I was on sports teams growing up. Not a lot was different. The only thing that I think for me specifically is really special, and it's going to take a little bit of explaining, so hold on.
Please.
Is kind of how I came to be, I guess. So this was in the late 80s, early 90s that my moms were trying to have a kid, and they tried in vitro a couple different times, and it never really took. And so my biological mom's sister and her husband offered for him to be my sperm donor.
Oh, wow.
And my other mom is a nurse, and so they did everything at home. They didn't go to a doctor's office, none of that stuff. And so everything was done at home, and she conceived on the first try, and here I am. So that was really interesting. And my aunt and uncle, who is also my father, they lived nearby while I was growing up, and they have a daughter who's 5 years older than me. So when I was really little, it was just my aunt and my uncle and my cousin. But then I think I was like 11 or 12. They decided to kind of tell us what had, like, how everything had come to be.
Yeah.
And so I had this really, really special relationship with my cousin, who is also my half sister.
Oh, wow.
And so that was something that was a lot different than I think a lot of other, obviously lots of people don't have that kind of story.
Yeah. But that sounds like a really cool community that you guys have then, Yeah,
for sure.
What type of advice would you give somebody, that grew up in the same situation? Because I know, like you said, that being young and having two moms, kids can be brutally honest and mean and bullying. So what kind of advice would you give, a child at around the same age that's going through the same thing to help them get through that?
I would say, it's really important just to let your kids know how much you love them. And that's something that I never lacked. I always knew how much my moms loved me. And I knew that it was more important than anything that anybody could ever say about me.
Right.
So I think that love is super important, and knowing that it's there. We were a very close family. We have always been kind of in each other's pockets. I've never lived very far away from them. And I think that's due to the fact that I always knew how much I was loved. So I think kind of for a kid that age, it's very important to know that your family is always going to be there for you. Right. And so it's about kind of leaning back on that relationship and knowing that kids they think that they don't have filters. They don't have any of those things to stop them from being mean.
Right.
And so they're going to say whatever comes to mind, and it's not necessarily true.
Yeah.
So not everything that any kid says is going to be true.
Yeah, I get that, because I feel like a lot of kids, dealing with outside noise, even though you say, love is very important, but then it would be hard for them to deal with that outside noise, because they'll go home and still think about that, and then, kind of wonder, like, if it's them, you know what I mean? It's like something they really don't have control over. So,
it's hard for kids that are LGBT as well, that, they feel that there's something within them that's wrong or that's different. And so it's the same kind of thing of, you have to find the people in your life who are going to build you up, not the people that are going to tear you down. And that's hard in a school environment when you're little. So I think it's really important to know that, everybody as a human is important. Everybody is deserving of love, and it's not necessarily always going to be shown from everybody you encounter, but there are always going to be people that you find that are there that love you and that are going to accept you for who you are.
That was beautiful. Thank you for taking the time out to talk to us. If you have any other things, any other advice or last words or anything like that, please, feel free to shoot.
I think that pretty much covered it. It was a great childhood. I love my mom dearly, and I'm the person that I am because of them, and I think I'm a pretty great person. So,
toot now horn, Allie.
It's all about, loving your fellow human and not concentrating on what makes us different, but what makes us the same.
Absolutely. Yeah. Well, Allie, listen, it's been a pleasure. Thank you for listening to the show, and and thank you for taking the time once again. And we'll talk to you soon. I'd like to have you on again. If you see another subject that you resonate with, feel free to reach out again.
Definitely will. Thanks for having me on, guys.
Yeah, thank you.
All right. Talk to you later.
Bye-bye. All right. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Hey, guys. So I just wanted to take a second to apologize to Kara because although we had a great conversation, I'm an idiot and I forgot to hit record in the first 5 minutes or so in her conversation where she told us about her journey of coming out in Texas and the work that she's doing for Thread, which is an amazing organization that she's a part of here in Baltimore and doing incredible work. Thread.org, please go check it out. But I apologize, we missed the introduction, so we kind of just jump into it and we missed some good stuff, but we also continued to have a fantastic conversation. So once again, thank you to Kara. Please check out thread.org here in Baltimore. Go, look them up, thread.org, and any ways that you can support, please be sure to do that. Anyway, here's Kara's conversation.
So coming out is partially accepting yourself, partially inviting others to accept you. Wow.
And Kara, again, thank you. I appreciate you telling that story about you being from Baltimore and this group that you're involved in. I would love for you to run through that again, just so I can understand the name and what the mission is and those things.
Yeah, of course. So Thread, they're a decently big organization, not huge, but they've been around for a while. I'm just going to try to give you my elevator pitch.
Please.
It's such a big program that we do a lot. So essentially what we do is we've partnered with 6 schools in Baltimore City, and we recruit the bottom 25% of freshman classes from those 6 schools. Most of those students have less than a 1.0 GPA. Majority of them are young Black men, young Black women. It started to diversify as the East Side has diversified. I think especially we're getting a lot more people who are Hispanic, Latinx, that sort of thing. But historically and primarily it's Baltimore. We're impacting, young Black people primarily. And then what we do is we make a 10-year commitment to that young person. No matter what, for the next 10 years, Thread is going to support them. The first goal is always to graduate high school. The secondary goal is more up to the young person. They can either go on to college or they can do certifications. They want to start a business, et cetera, et cetera. We find ways to help support them no matter what that path looks like for them. We also recruit volunteers who act as, we call them a Thread family because it's not a one-to-one pairing like you would see with a mentorship. It is actually generally anywhere from 1 to 4 volunteers per young person. We kind of ask for the volunteers. Yeah. The volunteer number gets less when they get older usually because they don't need as much support as they become more self-sufficient and get older. That's why I say 1 to 4. But usually when they're first starting out, there's at least 2 to 3 per young person. So that way that young person is, again, we basically are wrapping them up in a community that is going to help them do things you live in Baltimore, so I don't have to explain. Sometimes when people are coming from county, I have to explain this to them that we don't have public school buses in Baltimore, for example, right? I mean, the yellow buses,
kids
right?
We've
had kids that are
MTA bus to school.
Mm-hmm. So we have kids, and we don't have assigned schools, right? The kids are waking up at 5 a.m. to get to school sometimes because they have to take that public bus. And maybe they lived closer to that school at one point and they moved, or maybe grandma lives closer, so it's easier when they get off school, right, to go somewhere. There's a bunch of reasons that could be happening. But what it means is that these kids are, why would any kid want to wake up at 5 a.m. and go to school? And then what if they also have to work the night before? There's a ton of stuff that it makes it. So really the biggest issue is that these kids aren't going to school.
Yeah.
So that's something that the volunteers, as an example, can do is help give them rides to school. And just generally what we're really looking to do is create genuine connection. it's not just about the first step is always helping the young people, but secondary to that, our volunteers should be getting just as much out of it. They have access to all the same resources. We work with, lawyers and other health organizations in the city to help people get access to, eviction issues, health issues, whatever. We work with Whiting Turner. They're a pretty big contractor in the city. They do a lot with us, and they help do like forklift certification. It's just like a lot of partnership, and the idea behind it truly and completely is to create like a better, more connected Baltimore.
For sure.
Not so segregated, right? Because Baltimore is historically segregated on purpose.
Yes, very much so.
Connect people in the community. So it's
absolutely
very, very localized. I love working for them. I've been working for them since May, and it's the best job I've ever had. So.
And that's Thread, like THREAD?
Thread, yeah.
Okay.
So I did have a question.
Yes, thread.org.
So, for the kids that you guys work with now, do they have an opportunity to come back and, kind of like go through the same process with other kids that's younger than them? Are they able to come and volunteer?
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Yeah. Alumni. So even when they do finish their tenure, so generally that's like 14 to 25-ish, 15 to 25-ish, right? We always do alumni events as well. We have like a yearly alumni to get together. They can volunteer if they want to, if they have the time. Several of our alumni work for Thread.
Okay.
A lot of them still are very deeply connected to the community. Honestly, there is a running joke, especially with our president, where she's like, we're like a gang. Yeah. Once you get in, like there isn't a getting out.
Yeah.
You're stuck with us. Like,
yeah. And you're building a community, so that's what you want. You shouldn't feel like I've served my tenure and now I'm out. It's like, no, right. I'm forever a part of this to help build it into what it should be.
Like a family.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's what everyone. So I'm like doing a lot of the communication and social media stuff, and so I watch like every interview we've ever done, and pretty much all of them, it's like, what does that mean to you? A family, a family, a family. Everyone seems to agree that it is literally building a family. Our CEO, president, she started it, like 18 years ago when she was a Johns Hopkins student, and her like young person that she worked with was like there when her child was born. Their children are about the same age and play together. Like she's going and to all the birthday parties. Like they are a family.
That's beautiful.
Yeah, I want to commend you, on the work that you guys are doing. It sounds amazing what you guys have built over there.
It's important, and it's important in this city for sure.
Oh yeah, for sure. I'm very excited to be a part of it. I've been thinking about you guys a lot because I'm like always thinking about like things and ways and new things to talk to our young people about that might actually interest them. That offer them different perspectives than what they might be getting. So
for sure, understandable. Speaking of perspective, so Kara, as a queer person who's lived in Texas and Baltimore and seen the things that you've seen, how old are you?
I'm 26.
Okay,
sorry, it took me a second to remember.
Yeah. So, how would you describe your journey from coming out at a younger age in Texas to who you are today? What have you done? Your experience. Are you in a relationship? Like, how would Kara 10 years ago look at Kara today? Like, what has the journey been like for you?
It's been, I would say, pretty interesting. I would say in a lot of ways I've been very fortunate. I always I guess I would place myself middle of the pack in terms of like worst coming out stories or like worst receptions from family and friends to like best receptions, right? Yeah. I came out at about 15. It was right after I moved to Texas. I had definitely been struggling with my sexuality up to moving to Texas. I had been living in Easton across the bridge. So, it was not exactly the best, like at the time when I was coming into the age where I was questioning my sexuality, I'd been living in Easton. Not exactly the best place to question your sexuality either. Very country, very rural.
Okay.
I moved to Texas. I moved to San Antonio. That's more city, but it still is very conservative, right?
Yeah.
I would say Easton and San Antonio, Texas are probably on even playing field in terms of like where they lie. And that made it hard.
Sure.
But I did gain more queer friends they helped me kind of accept myself and realize that I wasn't just like, honestly, the messages that I had been fed growing up was that if you liked kissing girls, you were like a slut.
Oh wow!
That was the only messaging I was getting, was
because you're doing it. You're doing it for
so
the attention of guys, basically.
Yeah, that's always how it's been like phrased. And like, what do you see on the TV during that time period, right? It's like, no offense to the Jersey Shore cast, but it's like them making out occasionally. The girls, they're not actually gay. They're just kind of like being slutty, and like, no shame. So have a good time, everybody.
Yeah.
But like, to genuinely like women and want to date them seems to something that was like totally out of my realm. Like, I just didn't think that could be a thing I could do personally. Like, I just couldn't even fathom it. And then I met queer people who were out and dating women and had more comfort. That allowed me to reach a comfort level. So like, again, within like a couple months of like accepting it about myself, came out to my friends first, then my mom. My mom is wonderful as she is, and we do have a really good relationship. Definitely took the "you're confused" route for a bit. I would say she didn't really reach a point of accepting that there was a good chance I was never going to be with a man until I got with my current partner, which was right before 18.
Okay.
So
it's been a while.
Yeah, I met my current. Oh, it's been a while. Yeah, we're all going on 9 years now.
Yeah.
Math. So I met my current partner when I was 17. I was just about to graduate high school. They were 18, had just graduated high school. I was about to be 18 and 19 respectively. In San Antonio, I knew I was moving to Houston for college because I wanted to get out of San Antonio, but I could not afford to get out of state. Yeah. But you know, we were together for about 6 months. Some of that we did long distance, which San Antonio and Houston are about like 3.5 hours from each other. So like
big,
decently long distance.
So big. That's crazy.
Yeah.
3.5 hours. I was in Dallas. I was in Dallas.
I can go to New York.
Yeah, I was in Dallas. I was like, I think I might pop up to Austin. It was like 8.5 hours. I was like, oh God, no, never mind. This is crazy.
Yeah, no. You'd have an easier time going to Louisiana, but that's still 5 hours. Oh. And you're not going to the fun part of Louisiana either. You're going to like where my mom lives now, which is Shreveport, which is shitty.
So you're in Houston.
Yeah,
you guys are figuring it out. Continue.
Yeah, they eventually moved in with me, and we've been together ever since. I graduated college. We moved back to San Antonio for like a year after college, kind of like trying to figure shit out because I was like, what the hell do you do after college?
Yeah.
And then I had them come up and meet my family here in Maryland for Thanksgiving, like 2018. And they totally, it's the fall and everything's like the leaves are changing, things they haven't experienced living in South Texas.
Yeah.
And they fell in love with it. And then I had a friend who was moving from California to Maryland to go to University of Maryland in College Park. And it all just kind of worked out that we just ended up moving back. I lived in the Tacoma Park area for, like the past like 2.5, 3 years, like pretty much all pandemic time until last year when I was like, I hate my landlord and I'm moving to Baltimore and buying a house. And all of this to me was made easier by being in a queer relationship, having someone support you, and my mom and my partner get along really well.
That's great.
My partner's family, accepting of the queerness, not so good with gender stuff.
Yeah.
But the queerness, not an issue. So, we've figured it out, and, every year it gets a little better or easier for my partner's family because my partner is non-binary. But they've always been at least loving and accepting of us as a couple. And we got married. We literally got married last year, like had our wedding in May and then bought the house in July. So it was a very busy.
Nice. Getting after it. I dig it.
I was like, I'm just gonna get it all done. Yeah. I'm done. I hate my landlord. I want to have a wedding. We did. I will say, since this is like about my queer journey, we did get married. Probably 2018. We had legally been married since 2018. We got married in Texas, mostly because it was under the Trump administration, and I had a lot of anxiety around what the Supreme Court decisions would look like and what challenges would happen, and if we would have legal rights to each other. So we got engaged right after Trump was elected to bring some, because that even engagement brings legal legitimacy to your relationship.
Yeah.
As long as it's made public and stuff. And then we got legally married by 2018.
That's wild. So you did it. I mean, I'm sure obviously you guys love each other, but you did it out of the fear that they might repeal and you wouldn't be able to do it. That was a factor.
Well, my partner has, that was a major factor. My partner has some disabilities. We'd already had to go to the hospital. We'd already had issues with hospitals not treating us fairly, especially in Texas. We had doctors ask if we're sisters, which is honestly hilarious if you could see us, because I am the whitest bitch on the planet. My partner is Hispanic and looks it. So it's like, us?
Yeah.
I'm a redhead. Like, I'm literally the palest person in any room, even with other white people in it.
What's Texas? So they're like, I'm going to assume you guys are sisters because I wouldn't even want to say what else you could possibly be because you would never be that.
Exactly.
That's a sin.
You could never be walking up in here with that.
Yes.
It's exactly that.
Wow.
And I didn't want to run the risk. So I was like, if we have legal legitimacy to our relationship, they can't, if anything were to happen to you, they can't like keep me out of the room. They can't keep me from making decisions I know you would want me to make. It was like a big issue.
Wow. That's powerful, man. Well, listen, you live in Baltimore now, and glad to have a neighbor. And glad we could have this conversation, and thread.org for sure. And I commend what you guys do.
Absolutely.
What you just described sounds really necessary, and the idea of, kids having to go through all of that, and then you describe, some of the kids in this organization being queer kids, and it's like, I don't want to get up and get on a bus to go to school. I hate school, but also I'm getting queer bashed at school too. So why would I go to school?
Exactly. Yeah.
So anything that you can do to like alleviate that or let people know that somebody out there cares is really important. And the community that you guys are building sounds really, really important.
Yeah. It feels like important work. I was just at the Shake and Bake on Wednesday with some of the kids.
The shake and bake. Kara, let me go on a little bit of tangent for a second, friend.
Wow.
Oh, the amount of dances I almost got at Shake and Bake on my roller skates, and it ate pizza instead.
I literally forgot about that place. When you said that,
they completely redid it, so it's really nice.
Do they still have a spray paint wall where you can take photographs that they print out for you to take home? No, I just dated myself. I dated myself. It was 1999.
Wow.
It was 1999.
That's the bowling alley in like the basement and the skating, and it's
the pizza was
redone. So it's actually really nice.
Delicious.
The pizza was so good, friend. You roller skate up to the little cafeteria area, and then you're eating pizza, and then Back That Ass Up comes on, and you roller skate out to the roller rink, and then you almost go dance on a girl, and you go, never mind. No,
I couldn't skate.
That's
dumb.
I'm too nervous.
I stayed on the wall. I couldn't skate
because you couldn't skate, but you had the skates on.
Yeah, I had them on.
But you're propping up like you're chilling.
Yeah.
Like if you let this wall go, you're on your ass.
Yeah.
Shake and bake, Kara. Oh, memory unlocked. Oh,
That's
memory
crazy.
unlocked, man.
Take your kids there. It's fun.
My God.
I know one of you got a kid, so take your kids there. It's really fun. It's really cheap.
Wow. You guys are doing work. You guys are doing work at the Shake and Bake.
We're doing work. I told you our main office is in Mondawmin. Did you hear about the Target getting bought?
No.
And what they're going to do to it?
What are they going to do to Target?
So Whiting Turner, that's the guy who is the CEO of Whiting Turner, the contracting firm. I'm forgetting his name right now, but I think he bought it with his own money. Like, he has a ton of money. He bought the Target, and what he's doing is he's completely redoing it to be a space they want to have. Oh my God, they had a long list. They want to do a daycare. They want to do an urgent care clinic. They want to do like a cafeteria where they would prioritize local businesses and Black-owned businesses. They're going to put they're going to put Thread in there, and also several other nonprofits.
That's dope.
Wow.
We already have a space in Mondawmin that is like a kind of a co-working space for a bunch of nonprofits. But that's going to be an even bigger space. They're going to have like an outdoor area they're going to do where people can like actually hang out. Like, they're going to make it like a community center, essentially.
Wow. That's
because
so necessary.
he felt some type of way about Target pulling out.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, that's gross.
So
that's so necessary.
Yeah, the way Target pulled out felt a lot of people felt really hurt by that.
Yeah.
And I mean, I get it. I live 5 minutes from Mondawmin. I'm on the west side. So like I wish I had a dark day. That would have been nice.
Yeah.
He's building up a community space.
It's crazy how this goes into a whole different thing, but it needs to be addressed because of what you just said. I mean, like the neighborhoods, the way that Baltimore is segregated, and the amount of food deserts that there are, where you can't even go. A Giant is hard to find in some neighborhoods for blocks. I mean, there are people getting their groceries from corner stores. But then also it's segregated.
That's my neighborhood.
Yeah, and it's segregated in this really weird way where you could go from a super impoverished area and then go 6 blocks another way, and the property values go up, and then those people have a shorter journey to get to a Whole Foods, which is priced out from those poor people that need to go 12 blocks to get to that Whole Foods, but wouldn't go to a Whole Foods because they can't afford it. So it's really weird where they even place the nice grocery stores within the city to where they know the neighborhoods that are nice and gentrified can get here because they have cars and can afford to eat there. And the people who are just a distance away, that the bus doesn't go this way or Uber would be expensive, they wouldn't come here anyway because it's a Whole Foods and they can't afford to get groceries there. So it's pretty wild.
Yep.
His name is Tim Reagan.
It's wild.
Tim Reagan is his name, Kara.
Tim. Yep, Tim Reagan. Yep, I just watched a whole. We're doing like a speaker series at work, and he did a whole talk where he talked about all the different things he was going to put in there. He's like a really big partner of Fred. He's put his own money, like, not like his company money, like his own money.
Yeah.
I kind of roll my eyes sometimes when these corporates do stuff because I'm like, yeah, it's a tax write-off, right? But I mean, this man is putting his own money on the line.
Passion project.
He's from Baltimore area. He really cares, right? And so he's invested a lot over at Mondawmin. I'm over at Mondawmin, probably at least once a week now. Getting myself some Dunkin' and maybe shopping at the grocery store over there sometimes since it's decently close.
Yeah.
But one of our schools is Douglas, right across the street.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah. Man. Well, Kara, listen, this has been a great conversation. Before we end things, if you could speak to somebody who has walked a bit of your path, in a relationship with a non-binary person, is a non-binary person, identifies as a lesbian or is queer, or is in a situation that you experience as far as like working in these inner city communities and dealing with queer folk that have to deal with the struggles of that. Like, what would be some advice that you would give any of those type of folks, that you have in your head from your experience?
Find your people. It's always that. It's always that in almost any situation. If you can find your people, no matter what you're dealing with, if you can find people who are going to be there for you, who are going to support you, who are going to have your back, who are going to tell you when you're fucking up. That's a big one. Not afraid to tell you when you're fucking up, not going to just people please you. Find your people, stick with them. That's worked for me, because even though I've had issues in my family, my mom, like I said, she's been pretty great, but some of my family's not as great. My friends have been there for me. A lot of give you just one example. My wedding was in Texas. A lot of my friends had to fly in I had friends flying in from California, Maryland, everywhere, just driving from Houston to San Antonio again, 3.5 hours.
Yeah.
Just to come to my wedding. Like, if you can have those kind of people in your life who are just there for you, that means something. So it's always find your people, stick with them.
Find your people. Well, Kara, listen, thank you for taking the time out. I'm glad we could get on the phone and have this conversation. And thank you for listening to the podcast. And yeah, man, this was really cool.
Thank you.
Yeah. Please, if you guys ever want to do anything with Fred or interested in learning more, feel free to
keep us in mind. I don't know what we could do. I don't want to get heckled by cool kids, but I'll go talk to some kids and try to say, hey man, be cool in life. Kids scare me so bad.
We've worked with
me so bad. Your shoes are ugly. I'm like, no, thank you. Good night.
They are ruthless. But I've been really thinking about it because, we just worked with, if you've heard of, Chris Wilson, he wrote, the Master Plan. We've worked with Kondwani Fidel and Devin Allen. I'm always kind of thinking about,
Devin Allen's
all
dope.
These amazing.
Yeah, I know Devin Allen.
So dope. Yeah, he's been involved with Thread. Yeah. I'm always thinking about, these are Black men who are doing something different from what a lot of these kids are getting modeled for them. Yeah. Right. So I'm always kind of thinking, that's why I'm I think about you guys, because you guys are doing something different than maybe like one of the things alumni have said before is like, these streets don't love you. Like if he could go back and tell his younger self something, he would tell his younger self, these streets don't love you and these streets won't have your back.
Yeah.
And I'm like, that's kind of sometimes like these kids need alternative models and to see that they have options, because a lot of them think that the only option is the options that they've been shown.
Yeah.
So that's why I thought, I'm thinking of you guys. I'll send you an Instagram message with my email for work.
Okay.
Please.
Yeah, please do that.
And we can keep in touch.
For sure. Kara.
Okay. Yeah, awesome. Thank you guys for hosting this.
Absolutely. And Kara, thank you so much. And we'll be in touch.
Okay, sounds good. Bye.
Bye-bye. All right, man. Well, wow. A lot of interesting conversations, man. Lot to absorb.
Yeah.
This is going to be one I listen back to a few times just to kind of soak it in. But even like on first go, a lot of the conversations that we had, very enlightening, learning about a lot of different perspectives, hearing about people's journeys. Important stuff, man. It's important to just hear people.
Yeah.
You know, what do you think?
It's always good to hear other people's perspectives and, you know, how they grew up and how they handle it and how they come out on the other side to the person they are today. And then I feel like the most popular sentiment was, you know, find people who
get you,
who's going to ride with you, who's going to stick through it thick and thin with you, and, you know, be real friends. You know, it doesn't matter what, you know, how you categorize yourself and its gender and stuff like that. As long as you find people that's going to be by your side and in your corner for whatever thing, you know, you go through as a person, or, you know, with family or whatever, that's important. Yeah.
For sure. Because, you know, the blood is thicker than water thing that's cool. But I think that the family that you choose says a lot about who you are in the moment. You know what I mean? And it's important to find people, because there's blood that you have that you guys just are never going to be on the same page. You guys are never going to understand each other. But when you find somebody that gets you, then that transcends genetics every time. So I agree with that 100%. And in the sentiments and the times that I've heard that in the conversations we had on this episode, it hit me for sure.
Yeah.
Like I feel that very much. So yeah, man, this was enlightening. I wish that we could have gotten some other perspectives, but we can't do 5 hours. You know, maybe we'll bring this topic back around. I'd love to hear some other. There's tons of other
part two,
perspectives
maybe.
out there. Yeah, maybe we'll do a part 2 about this. We'll see how people resonate with it, and you know, and take this in, and maybe we'll do a part 2 of this at some point. But this was really cool. I want to do more of these. Like I said, I think I've said that in previous episodes of, like, I really enjoy reaching out to people, hearing people's stories. Like, it's just the topics, we tend to let them come to us.
Yeah.
Maybe we'll start to reach out to people and see what they want to talk about, and just kind of get a pool of, like, what are some town hall ideas that we could do in the future?
Yeah.
And we can start to build on that.
Yeah.
Because it's just nice to hear people's, thoughts and have conversation and dialogue and go back and forth a bit. So look forward to more of these in the future for sure. But until then, I've been Alvin Williams, joined as always by my partner in true crime, Francel Evans.
Sir.
And we'll see you guys next week.
Deuces.